try and make sure that like YouTube is actually streaming. Okay. We're testing things. All right. I think that is everything. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Raft. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what I would typically do in like our Raft stream. We're not going to be playing the game per se. I mean, obviously we're playing Raft, but like, you know. What I want to do today is design a Galleon in the style of Sea of Thieves, because I promised that I would do that as my next build tutorial. And I haven't had time because I just finished finals. I defended my thesis proposal this week for my master's degree, and it's been all around pretty busy. So I'm really looking forward to like having a winter break and getting back into like making actual YouTube videos again and not just shorts. And as part of that, I thought it would be really interesting for you guys to see how I design the stuff that I make build tutorials for, because it's a lot of trial and error, and also, you know, people always have suggestions. So I thought at the same time it'd be kind of fun to include you guys in it so that you can tell me, you know, what you're seeing, what you like, what you would change, you know, that all that kind of fun stuff, right? Also, hello everyone. Hello everyone on both sides. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great time. I hope the defense went well. It did. It was awful, but like at the same time, that's what a defense is. So, it happened, it's over, I passed. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And before, choose the slightly redder shade of red for that foundation's paint color. Yeah, so again, today we're going to be working on building a Galleon in the style of Sea of Thieves. Obviously, we're going to encounter some issues and try and work on getting everything encapsulated and all that fun stuff. Also, hi friends. Hello for everyone who's stopping in on either Twitch or YouTube. We're live on both right now, because I'm trying to learn how to do that. I'm not good at it yet, so bear with me. Not good at it yet, but I am trying. Yeah, so this is gonna end up being a late game style build, because I'm just gonna name it Galleon for now. The Galleon is a large ship, and I have a few reference images pulled up because I've played Sea of Thieves for maybe a grand total of 2 hours. Also, we are working with mods for right now, just because this will make it easier for us to get around. We can set our time of day, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna work on doing a ton of fun things like so, and just, you know, trying to build up a boat that we are content with. 1 second as I manage some stuff on the back end that you guys don't need to see. All right, so first step first is obviously we need to decide how big we want this to be. And again, I want this to be a late game build, because if I pull up some of our reference images oops, wrong button. 1 sec. I told you guys, I'm not good at this whole streaming thing, but it's fine. Love all your videos. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoy them, friend. And then, okay, so we've got, like, this is the rough shape of the Galleon. And compared to the sloop that we made, obviously this is a lot larger, and the sloop was also inspired by a Sea of Thieves style design. Also a railway, thank you for the 1-bit, friend. So we want this to be significantly larger. And we're also going to use a few of these images as we go, mostly so that, you know, we can try and make sure that everything lines up and is good. So let's start. We need to decide if we want this to be even or odd, because that'll affect. Actually, you know what, to decide that, let's take a look at the front of the ship. I told you, I have reference images for days. That's the back of the boat. And then, okay, so the front of it is relatively round, but still pointed. So I feel like we still want to go with an even one, even if that point is going to be a little sharp. Alternatively, we could go for a 3-wide base and try and do it a little bit. Also, if you hear weird noises in the background, assume it is my dog being a nuisance. She's really good at that. She's really, really good at being a nuisance. So basically, we're gonna take this. I'm gonna see, let's just try it really fast. So our two options for building out the bow, right? We've got like this kind of thing, or we can do it a little bit flatter. Just ignoring my nemesis. Fun. No clue who that could be. Oh my goodness. Okay. So if we wanted a slightly flatter, more rounded bow, we could go for something like this. you know, and you see how that it's still a curve, but it's a lot more smooth of a curve. But if we want something a bit sharper, it ends up looking, not going to bother with the wood direction for now, kind of like this. So you can see that this comes together more of at a point. Finally, I meet you. Thanks for all your shorts of Raft. I'm glad you enjoyed them, friend. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Yeah, so this gives us more of a rounded base versus this gives us more of a pointy base. And we know that this is going to be obviously a lot larger. We're not going to leave this as a 3-wide ship. That leads into problems, TM, especially when you get into engine territory and that kind of stuff. So, you know what? Let's expand this out to 5 really fast. We're going to do some experimentation. We're going to do some experimentation and look at how wide it's going to look on either side. So if that's 4, we want to have one that's a even side and one that's an odd side so we can really see. And these are going to compare. And I feel like going wider than 4 is a good idea here. So let's do 7. That's 5, 6, 7, and let's do 6. I know it's offset, but again, we're working with evens and odds, so. Yeah, okay, and then if we were to do the same kind of staggered, rounded pattern over here, we're gonna end up with something that's a little more, it kind of also depends on how far out we want to stagger it, because we could do something a little bit smoother. That would look a little bit. Are we live? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Again, I stream regularly over on Twitch, and I've been trying to learn how to do it on YouTube because this is a new skill set for me. And I thought it would be fun to include you guys in how I design some of my rafts and that kind of thing. The crap I put up with just to pick on people. Expect work. Have a day. Have a day. Have the day you deserve, as the saying goes. Because we run into the issue really fast. Where, you know, obviously this will need to meet up with a smooth wall, because Raft only has a number of build options, and at the end of the day, there isn't that much customization, if we're being completely honest, right? So we can have something like this. This looks weirdly wide. Do we want it to be that big? That's the thing, because that's a big bow right there. If you think about how proportionally, so like, imagine this right here, and then we take it out and we put it against, oh, again, that's the backwards image. I didn't label these at all. So like, if that's just the front here and it cuts off like here, we still have to make it that much longer proportionally. I realize you guys can't see what I'm indicating. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just trust me that this would be really, really freaking big if we went for it. And at the same time, I kind of want another build that's at the same scale as like the steamboat that I did a while ago. Hope the stream is good and this building is successful. Me too. Me too. So at the same time, like, this is really, really big, but at the same time, really big might be good. At the other hand, really big is hard to achieve. Like, it's hard to fill and make it feel, you know, like, decent. Because then you run into the issue of, like, oh, I already have, you know, an animal area. And, like, yeah, you can divide it up into 3 animal areas and all that kind of fun stuff. But the bigger it gets, the harder it is to make it look good inside. So we could try and pare it down a little bit and do 5. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could cut off this side right here. Something like that. And then if we were to look at this as like a bow, something like that, that would still give it that rounded shape. But still, or alternatively, this one is a bit, this isn't my favorite technique to use because it's a little bit more chunky and doesn't look necessarily as clean, but it does work. Where you do kind of like a this kind of thing. And then you take this and you rotate it back around again. And so that way it's a lot more round, but at the same time you deal with that kind of glimpse. Oh, the gift sub. The gift sub to A by You Want Me. Thank you so much, friend. It's very kind of you. I don't like that. For executive decision, not going with the stagger design. Yeah, it makes it flatter, but at the same time, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right here. So we've got that option, or like we were talking about back here, if we're gonna do 5, the equivalent would be 4. So we need to replace this on either end. I know we're off center again, it's fine, don't worry about it. 56 out of 50. What was the sub goal again? The next sub goal was for me to create and play through a words are hard, man. Words are hard. Was to create and play through a Raft based mod pack for Minecraft. As in Minecraft, but cross out the Mink part. No more Mink, only craft, only Raft. That was the next one. I just didn't update it. I'm a boat builder in real life here. You're doing good. Thanks. I have no clue what I'm doing. I just spend a lot of time on boats because I'm a marine biologist. So that being said, I don't spend a lot of my time on pirate ships. So that is a little different. They are different boats, it turns out. Excuse me. Okay, so these are our 2 main bow shapes that we can work with here that I feel like will look good in this particular context. And again, let's just continue the bow design out equally on both sides. Or in a dry dock where boats are generally built. This is also true. This is also true. I also do not spend time there. So that's 4 wide going 2 back. That's 5 wide going 2 back. So the thing I like about this side is that it already looks a little bit chunkier and less sharp. Because again, if we're looking at the Galleon from Sea of Thieves directly, you can see that this is a pretty round shape. We're obviously not going to be able to do any of the stuff under the water. It's not in Raft. We're going to ignore that. It's going to be flat on the bottom because Raft is a game. So imagine it just cuts off at the waterline. We kind of want to recreate this rounded shape here. So I think that it's going to be a better option to go with this side. I like this more. Would you recommend a game like Raft? I finished it 4 times in the last time the real game is over for me. Yeah, there are a couple games that I would recommend trying out if you like Raft. Currently at the top of my list are Forever Skies and Planet Crafter. Planet Crafter is a lot more similar to things like Satisfactory or other factory curious games, I would say. However, like Forever Skies is a really, if you really like the island to island unlock new things kind of thing, Forever Skies beta just got a new bump today. Indeed. Indeed it did. And also, oh, one moment, let me remove that photo. You guys are going to need to yell at me when I do things like that, because I will forget. Because I have the memory of a goldfish. So... Alright, we're just going to fill this in for now. We'll worry about engine space later. That looks decent. That looks decently proportional from the start. Obviously, we're probably going to need to extend this curve up a little bit. But for now, I think that's relatively proportional. So again, we pull up our reference image. That's the back. One of these days, I'm going to figure out which image is which. It's got this like curve around it. I have another similar, yeah, so this is my side reference. So if we're gonna think about it, like this is probably gonna be about where the floor is like right at the top of that. And we kind of want to worry about how far back that needs to go and how far it needs to cut off. And also the fact that it has a vertical back is really important. So we're not going to try and curve it like this. We're just going to have it go up. And then we'll deal with like the little outsets and that kind of thing separately. I'm kind of worried. I don't know how much detail we're going to be able to recreate based on what Raft has available, you know? So we'll deal with that as it comes. But for now, I think that this is a pretty good start to the size of the Galleon. So, mission success. Oh, let me... Again, you guys are going to need to yell at me to turn off the images. I'm currently working on Space Engineers. It's complicated, there's less of a story and more of a sandbox to create your own, and you can script sharpen it to make almost anything happen. Gross. I will not be scripting anything in games. That's simply not happening. So, okay, let's start by assuming that we're going to have a hard vertical wall at the back. Like, as we were looking at with, we can finally use this image. How it just, like, obviously there's that little blip there, so maybe we could get away with one layer of roofs and then extend it out with floor. You know what, let's try it. Let's try it. Because I don't like the idea of going at a hard 90 degrees right away. So if we were to do something more like this, right? And then we come out here and we do something like that. That does give us that little step up. That gives us a little step up. It gives us a little bit more shape to work with, and it's not quite as hard angles. Some love it, some hate it. That's true with any game, though. I know plenty of people who hate this game. I'm not one of them, but I do know plenty of people like that. Do you think it could be, there could be a Raft 2? I know you contacted the developers. I don't necessarily have contact with Red Beat, but I don't personally see a Raft 2 coming in the future. Except Undertale. Everyone loves Undertale. I've never played Undertale. Believe it or not, Vex. I've never played Undertale before. Alright, so that gives us that little step up. However, if we're continuing to look at the back, I just want to finish this, like, first layer first, and then we'll work on building up the rest of the cabin structure and that kind of stuff. And I want to make sure we're making this make sense as we go. Otherwise, we're gonna run into some fun issues that I don't want to deal with. Should get Allie the new arc to build a raft in. It'd be fun to watch the struggle. Oh no. No. I don't do the whole survive thing. I just build pretty boat. That's where my brain stops. Okay, so if we look at the back of this boat, right? This is relatively flat. It's a relatively flat ship. Again, I realize you guys can't indicate. The blunt end is called the transom. I have no clue. The transom? Okay. I hope I said that right. I have no clue. Are there any other games similar to Raft's mechanics? It depends on what part of the mechanics you're asking about. Because like there are a lot of games that have similar concepts and that kind of thing, so it kind of depends. Hello, that transom, humor me, solid. I will forget, just so we're on the same page. My memory is, again, like that of a goldfish. And I know it irritates people, but I'm gonna continue to put a door about halfway through on either side. Because it's so annoying when you're like, you know, you're swimming around here, looking at the dolphins, and then you're like, well, I didn't leave a hole to get in. When it's a boat, so then you leave the door so that you can get in and out. I know it's not accurate. I know it looks kind of weird, but like, there's nothing worse than like trying to swim behind your raft and being like, oh no, I can't get on unless I unstuck. So obviously the doors are staying. We'll worry about collection nets later. That'll come after we design the structure. Because frankly, if you're building something like this, you don't care about efficiency. That's what the fishing trawler was for. The fishing trawler was so that you could have the full line of collection nets and still have it look decent. This is so that you can have a big pirate ship. You know, it's not going to be that efficient. It's just how it works. So if we continue looking at the back of the boat, right? Let's see, that just goes, it's just a straight vertical with an offset deck. We might be able to pull some really, really fun tech out and do that raised deck at an offset. We might be able to make that work. The problem is I don't know if I can pull it off at the half level or if we'll have to do it a full floor raised. Because if we have to do it a full floor raised, which honestly would make sense because then it would line up with the main deck so that you could have the cabin be interior, then we're gonna end up doing that. Okay, so we need to raise this up another half layer, like so anyways. And this is when we can get into straight lines a little bit more. Okay. I will die with my front and back and side doors, absolutely. Like, you need some kind of entrance, in my opinion. Again, I don't love that 90-degree angle, but we don't really have options So it may have to be what it is. Because this is when we run into the issue of Raft being a limiting problem, where we only have this many options, you know, and you can't really tell this to attach. It won't attach like here. And I know I have mods enabled, but we want this to be vanilla friendly. So for now, it gets to stay, even if we don't want it to. I don't think there's a way to get a triangle to float in this particular instance, so we're gonna worry about that kind of detail later. So let's just say for now, again, I have a mod enabled that lets me do this. So after the build gameplay on hard, well, where we see the development for a starter raft. Oh yeah, we got this. The thing is, like, a lot of people are like, how do you do this in, you know, survival? And it's like, just gather a lot of resources. That's it. Build a big platform like you normally do. I try and wait if I have like a specific design I want to do. I hear you can use rugs to place things that normally couldn't be. That's true. However, it doesn't work with defined structure. So collision is still a thing with all of the regular building pieces. However, if I'm placing any of the decoration items, then we can get all fancy. All right, so that looks like that would be the height of the main bulk of the hull. Would come out to about there. And then here is where we would start the cabin. Like this would be the floor of the cabin right around here. And obviously this would be the main deck. So that's what that looks like to me. And then we've got plenty of room for masts like right around here, probably one there-ish and one a little bit further back. Nets are your best friend when you want to build big. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just a matter of, you know, collecting the resources and then redesigning your raft. So if you're gonna build something like this in survival, I always just build the big foundation first, and then I worry about building up as I can fortify and that kind of stuff. And sure, the base platform is always kind of a mess, but then you rearrange it. That's, you know, that's how building goes. All right, so we've got that kind of height. And if we look at the sides again, I've not gotten past building a paddle yet. You'll do it. You'll do it one of these days, I believe. So it looks like there's about 2 layers to it. Obviously, we can't have differently spaced layers in Raft because, again, we only have a certain number of build options. So these are going to be half walls. Yeah, they're just going to end up being half walls. It's the way it goes. So we'll do a half wall all the way around here. We might replace some of these with windows to add more variety and that kind of thing, but we'll worry about that later. For now, we want to make the structure. The structure is really important, and we'll come back and we'll add the detailing we want in just a little bit. Just so that we can get an idea of the actual space we're working with and that kind of thing. At least for me, that's one of the more important things, because once I have the rough idea of how to use a space, then it becomes less of an issue of, you know, doing it over and over again as it is trying to figure out if I like it or not. I go through so many design iterations before you guys see like the end result build tutorial. There's a lot of decisions that get made. So now you get to see the decisions that are being made. Am I the only one who thinks that the late game storages are out of place design-wise? No. No, you are not. I can say that because I also think about it relatively frequently. All right, so this is going to be our base layer. Well, where this makes up the bulk of that side piece, right? Again, I'm just like popping up images so that you guys can see what I'm trying to recreate here. And we're going to run into issues where obviously certain things aren't possible. And that's just the nature of the game itself. So we've got like that big bulk is what we want, where it's kind of flat, and we'll deal with making it slightly less flat as we go on. But for now, that's okay. I'm okay with that. So from here, we want to bring this up to make the cabin. And we know that we're going to want a door. However, we also have that, you know, like that little railing off the side to contend with, right? And I have an idea how to make that work. It's also worth noting that the railing starts a lot behind where the slope is. So let's say, you know, we've got this amount of space. I'm going to destroy these for now. This is something that it'll be useful to have you guys' opinion on, because I don't know if people are interested in using this kind of technique, because it's going to get intense. This is not something that I would recommend you do if you're not interested in building more specific raft builds. Because we can do a little bit of this, right? And this is still perfectly fine, perfectly supported. And then from here, what we can do is we can actually take a pillar, like so, and use that as a platform. Ooh. No, copy the pillar, please. Or if we do something kind of like, we probably don't want it to go out too far, probably just half a block in either direction. We want that to lock on. We're gonna have to destroy these really fast so that they don't take priority. And we can, I think, even get away with a diagonal here. Maybe. Okay, that works. And then, yeah, we can continue to prioritize this. Do you play Sea of Thieves also? No, although it is something I want to play. I just have really, really bad internet. So probably someday I will, as soon as I can get my internet functional. But that's a problem for future me. All right, so let's see if I replace this. Yeah, that collides on that corner, okay. And YouTube as well. It's something we're going to play, indeed. It is something we are going to play. Probably, potentially, depending on Vex's availability. Over winter break for me. Yeah, okay. So we might want to extend it a little bit further on the side. We might just end up wanting to make this a square. Because the triangle cuts a little bit close to the wall for me. I want it to stick out and be like a full deck, you know? See if these just or will be coming out with single crew servers. That'd be fantastic. That'd be fantastic. Too stressful for me. Raft is more chill. Raft is a lot more chill. I will certainly agree with you on that one. Okay, so this is one of those things that's a weird build technique that is fully vanilla, that does work regardless of whether or not you have mods. And then we come back and we remove this. It's so loud. I don't know why it's so loud when you do that, right? And you can actually get rid of these because now they become fully... Forgot that I turned my crosshair off. One moment. I play this game a lot without a crosshair, but sometimes when you're building, it's a little annoying. Alright, so then from here, you can kind of get an idea. You do run into this issue where you have these like awkward gaps that you kind of need to bridge then. But it also works out, because then you can still take these and these don't collide, but they do make funny textures. And you can do like that to try and help it, and then this kind of stuff where you just like try really hard to make it all line up. And sometimes it wants to, and sometimes it doesn't. And there's no way to tell which one it's going to be on a given day. So you could do something like that, right? And then you just have this, and you could theoretically take this and you could fill it with detail planks, right? You just kind of swoop it from here to here. Usually works better if you can get the hole smaller, but you just do that kind of thing. You just fill in the hole. Alternatively, you could deal with it via making a few more triangles, because like that one will place there and that kind of thing. Obviously, if we're going to do that, we're going to rotate our wood direction so that it does something kind of acceptable. For the most part, it will not. So and that works. Interesting. Yeah, so you can do that, and then you could just like cover this up with a rug so that you don't see those horrible flickering textures. We just do a little bit of this and pretend it's not a problem, you know? You just do a little bit of this and pretend it's not an issue. And then obviously you can patch these holes a lot more easily, or you could just straight up cover them. Because you're not going to be able to fall down. Oh, you can fall down that hole. Interesting. I didn't think you could fall through that amount of gap, because this amount of gap isn't possible in the game. Well, it is possible, obviously, but, like, it's... Okay, you're not going to be able to get through it easily without, like, lining yourself up. I think you're going to run over it. But granted, that is a way you could do this. And then we end up, if we do something kind of festive, right? Let's see. If we were to take these, we can do something a little bit more interesting on the sides, where we then continue to line up our walls. So I think, in order to do this, we still need to do that, and then we can snap that onto here. Yeah, like so. Okay, and then the rest of these should theoretically line up to that wall. And you end up with this tiny little walkway. Yes, we are in fact literally sweeping it under the rug. This is true. For right now, I'm just going to cheat and do this because I'm lazy. But that's fine. Why the front kind of weird when going up? Well, this is the back of the boat. Right here. The transom. The blunt side. Because this is our bow right here, which is more rounded. Versus at the back, we're trying to replicate specifically the Galleon from the Sea of Thieves, which in the back looks a lot like this. So we're trying to replicate that kind of structure in a game that doesn't really allow you to replicate that kind of structure. So ideally, you know, you'd be able to curve something from here to here in that kind of way. So for now, we're trying to, or excuse me, this is why you gotta remind me when I put the image up. So ideally we'd be able to curve something between here and here to make it look a bit more functional. But this way we're only getting a half of a foundation offset, right? It's quite small, isn't it? See, people think that this kind of build is really small, and I personally disagree. I think that this is more than enough raft space. And of course, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong or anything like that, you know? I just like having, like, I would much rather put my engines, you know, 1, 2, 3. That could run into some issues there, so we would have to inset them by 1. You could do like this. Or you could, you know, offset it and make it 2 more wide. The same concept still applies. That railing needs to come, this needs to come 1 more this way. Again, we're just going to cheat for it right now. Again, you can't do this in vanilla. I just don't want to take the time. So, because right now we're trying to come up with structure. This is all stuff you can do normally. And that's just to cover the glitching textures, because I don't like them. This is all stuff that doesn't require mods, but mods make it easier. Alright. So if we're working on that assumption, that's fine, that works. So then we need to figure out, our cabin, we said, starts tilting up significantly before. And we only have 1 angle we can really work at, because that's how this game works. So we can only really go up at a 45-degree angle, like that. And we probably want our door to be centered right here, right? So if we come out here, that's going to be 2. So we want this one to be a door. The hard part is like making sure that it's snapping to the right grid, because obviously we did an offset grid here. Yeah, okay, I think that works. And then we can connect this up. Whoops. With normal doors. I don't think the game lets you snap once you've already snapped in a different location. So I think you would have to choose between going this way or going this way. Yeah, I don't think it'll let you do both. I think you have to make a decision. I think we want to prioritize the bulk of it It's easy enough to figure out how to bridge this gap here. I mean, you could literally just... Yay, it's bridge, you know? Sure, you're missing a pillar where a pillar would go, but again, you can literally just... Look, it's fixed. So, yeah, exactly. Use detail planks. So, I feel like it's more important to prioritize the bigger gap that you're gonna look at more, if we're being completely honest. I'm realizing Aloft has ruined me for building other games. Aloft does have a really nice building system. I am so excited for the decoration update so that I can show you guys so many fancy things that you can do in that game. And then we said the next one would be a door. We got to keep it symmetrical. And then that comes back out this way. Obviously, again, we're going to go in and add windows later, but for now, I want to work on making sure we really understand the layout. The Raft update or a different game? A different game, sadly. I don't mean to get your hopes up. A different game that I've been very invested in recently. Named Aloft. There's a video covering it on my channel. If you haven't heard of it, would highly recommend checking it out. That looks a bit weird. Not gonna lie. It will look better once we balance out the front. But for now, don't know that I love that. Let's just start balancing out the front, seeing if that helps it look a bit less dumb. Right, and so to balance out the front, we literally just take this and then we start connecting it up here so that this side gets raised a little bit. Then let's say we take this and we go like 1, 2, 3, something like that, you know. And then we take the opposite corner, bring it down. Same on the other side. Yeah, that already looks better. That already looks better. Because you just want this, and the important thing to note is that in Raft you obviously need this height for it to, I mean, you can crawl through your raft, but I feel like that's not very fun or enjoyable as a good, you know, gameplay-wise design. I'm not, like, super worried. These ducks are usable. Like, if I turn off flying, these ducks are usable. They're just, like, tiny. But again, you're not really gonna be using this, if we're being completely honest. You know, this is just purely for the aesthetic. And that detail plank, it works. It works. That's all you really need. How rare is a tiki head in Raft? I want to say it's a 2.5% chance whenever you dig up a treasure spot to be a tiki head. Don't quote me on that. It might be 7.5. 7.5 sounds more accurate. 7.5 sounds more correct. All right, so that could be our little deck offset, and that gives us that tiny little bit of extra. Ooh, alternatively, this would make it less functional, but it would technically work. How do you place blocks halfway? No, it doesn't require mod. You ready for this? This is one of my favorite pieces of build tech. You take that, you take the half pillar, or I mean, you can also do it on a full pillar if you want it to be at 3/4 height, and then you place a platform on top of it. And then from there, you can take a pillar and kind of anchor it to the side of this. And then from there, you can use that like you would. And you see how there's now this half gap. So that's actually completely vanilla. It just requires a bit of like finicky placement where you kind of prioritize certain things. But for in specific instances where we really want that outside detail, it works undeniably really well. This game makes me angry sometimes. This is one of those times. Understandable. Understandable. Yeah, I am using mods right now, but again, we don't want anything in this build to require mods. This should be a vanilla build. I'm just using mods to make my own life easier. So, you know, we can back up like this. We can back up like this and fly around and make ourselves go zoom speed. None of this requires mods to do. We're making things pretty. All right, so that gives us the basic layout of that. However, we've got tier 1, we've got tier 2, and then if we come look again at the back of the boat, we need that tier 3.
what we might want to do, again, this will make the balcony less usable, which we can debate as to whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, is we could do something like this, right? And kind of block it off on either side, and then have this become that or excuse me, as I forget to turn off the thing again. Hello, friend. Have that become that last overhang, where that connects up a little bit. New friend, let's see if I turn off flying again. We walk through here. I mean, again, you can still get back here, and eventually some of these are going to be windows or whatnot. But I think I like that, because I think that lends itself better to the inherent structure of a curved back of a boat. Transom. Whatever the word is. As I have learned today. I've learned new things today. So, I think I like that. This is a bit bulky right here. I don't necessarily love how bulky that is, but again, we don't have anything that will allow me to curve it down without just being a straight line, and we already know that there is a hard line there. Again, based in the original Galleon design that we're trying to replicate right now, so I feel like do you guys think that's an acceptable shape that we're working with right now? Again, we're gonna end up raising this up a little bit. The shortest thing we have is this, and technically you could fill this in with detail planks, but that seems like an ungodly amount of work for something with very little tangible benefit. You know? Because again, theoretically you could just go like this and be like, haha, I now have a custom wall height. But part of the struggle with building these kind of design tutorials is like, you want it to look good, but you also want it to be something that someone else could do. You know? I never want my tutorial to be like, haha, you're not good enough at this game to make this, because that's never fun. You know, you're looking at build tutorials to have something cool in your own world. So I think we have to stick with using half walls. Like that, and that does make it look a bit bulkier again. However, I think if we look at the side profile, which one's the side profile? Okay, that just goes straight up. It goes straight up like this, so this one would need to come, dang it, mobile typing. Mobile typing is hard. And then we could probably take these and make it artificially lower at the same time as keeping that back high, like that. We also can't really make it narrower as we go up, because again, that's just not how Raft works. So for now, we're going to work on the assumption that all of this is going to be the same width. Right? We're going to do this. I'm very bad at building. Wait, Discord stream alert didn't go off? Oh no. Yes, building Sea of Thieves boat. We are in fact building a Sea of Thieves boat. This is true. And I'm glad that they're... Enter and delete are way too close together for me. Same. I have so many troubles typing. It's not a you problem. So, okay, so this will be, again, we're doing this so that we can get an idea of structure and that kind of thing, right? Or got that. This will eventually become windows. We might do like one here and one here kind of thing. So if we take that and we can run with that idea and we turn this into a staircase, we've got two big styles of staircase we could do, right? Oh, it didn't. Oh no. Oh no, Discord didn't tell people that I'm live. But we've got that kind of stair where it goes straight up. It's fine. You can put a door right here, right? Like, yes, this works. This works. However, hear me out. You could add some detail planks on the side to add depth. Yeah, we'll probably do that to try and like curve some of these shapes just a little bit. But again, I don't want to go too ham on the detail planks, because personally I find them frustrating to use, and I imagine that other people do too. So I try to stick as much with the assigned, quote unquote, assigned building materials as much as possible so that it's easiest to recreate. I feel like we're going to go with another sidestepped staircase right now. So if you haven't seen a sidestepped staircase design, it ends up looking a little bit more like this, where that obviously goes there. Then we can kind of, oh my goodness. There's a fly that somehow got into my office and it's determined to go ham right now. I know this looks a bit more cluttered and a little bit more clumped, but again, we're working on a pirate ship. This is not somewhere where you would be having a lot of extra space to work with. If we do something like that, and we could also probably afford to do that on either side too. And then we put one more there. And just because I like details, let's take these right away and do a little bit of that. Right, and then we take these same fences, we continue to the design over, right? So that looks good. And then we just kind of be like, haha, there's a wall here. We can maybe make that into some storage or room for, you know, a research bench or something like that. But that way this becomes our cabin. And it's a little bit more nested and a little bit less flat. But I feel like that gives us a lot more structure to it, you know? I feel like that gives us a lot more to work with in terms of interesting appeal. Hi, how you doing? I'm doing good. Doing good. Need to make a good way to get it. I know. Sometimes Dinobot slacks. Sometimes Dinobot doesn't work. So again, right now we're just prioritizing pure structure. Purely the structure is all we're worried about. So if I close off, excuse you, close the doors please, these, so we can really look at the structure without having a massive gap. We're also going to really quickly just fill in the floor. Again, right now I'm using mods, but the triangle floating floors works the exact same way. It just requires a few more extra steps. All of this is possible in vanilla. I'm just making my own life easier so that the design process goes faster and we spend less time, you know, sitting here being like, wow, that is a half wall. Incredible. I don't think that's half bad. Those kind of look a bit weird on the silhouette because they're higher than the railing. That was also one of my pet peeves, is that these don't connect. Really, like how this is offset. It annoys me. It's fine. Everything's fine. I think that's pretty okay, right? And again, if we take it and we compare it to some of our other images, like this one, where we're... Here, let's go on the other side. So that you can look at that. So that's the reference image, right? That's the reference image. This is the structure we currently have. It's obviously never going to be one-to-one because that's just not how Raft works. And we still want this to be functional. Hello, friend. How's it going? This is never going to be an entirely accurate recreation. We want it to be similar enough that people are like, hey, that's the Galleon from Sea of Thieves, but not, you know, super redundant or anything like that. And we can probably mess with, like, obviously when we get into finer detailing, we can probably get away with doing some of, like, you know, turn this into a detail plank. And then we put another one up here so that we kind of get that scrunched effect on top and that kind of thing. Or like you make this a thin line by rotating it, that kind of fun stuff. But again, we want as much of this tutorial to be pure, straight up raft building blocks as possible. Because otherwise you get into problems where people are like, I don't want to spend forever, you know, trying to connect a line from right here to right here. Excuse me. Which is totally valid and completely understandable. Of course, it will always make your boat look better, but there's no reason to wear yourself out doing that kind of thing, if that's not what you're interested in. All right. So as far as pure structure goes, I feel like it's not awful. Again, you ignore me as I flick through our reference images that we've pulled up. So at the front of the boat, you've got that big round shape and that kind of thing. Again, we can only make it rounded to a certain amount. We may even come in and replace those with half walls or something along those lines. We can test that, see how it looks. Let's see. So we're trying to recreate that shape right there, right? We're trying to recreate that particular shape. If we take off of these and we instead say, hey, you're just all gonna be flat walls now, that does look a lot more rounded. But I'm not in love with it yet. I'm not in love with it yet. And it may change when we like start doing, you know, the big pointy bit that comes out the front that I forget the name of right now. We'll leave it like that for now, so that again we get an idea of how the shape is coming together. But we can always replace that. That's an easy thing to change as we progress. So, the transom, I thought that was this end. Hey, Alidove wanted to thank you for the many raft tips I had no clue about, so thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed them. I'm glad you enjoyed them. That's all that matters to me. Let's go really quickly add a railing on either side. And again, you can just pretend that this isn't a problem if you just connect it up a little bit. I personally really dislike detail planks for this exact reason, so this is part of the reason I avoid using them, because I find them really finicky. And I'm not good with them, so you could ideally connect that up so that you don't have the gaps on either side. Usually I just cheat. Because I don't think you can technically tell it to place anything that's already connected. Like, I think there's a collision override there. But still. But for some reason, weirdly enough, this is also vanilla. If you take this, right, and then you do, like, you can do some weird stuff like this. You can actually overwrite this so long as there's like a carpet present, which is one of the strangest interactions that can happen. Sometimes you can get this if you like also put like a carpet there. It'll just work. And you can get these two to combine into one space. I don't understand why, but it works sometimes. Can a rug make it possible to place glitch railings? Sometimes. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because this game makes perfect sense all the time. It just really depends on how it's feeling that day, if we're being completely honest. It just really depends. Oh, I forgot that I didn't close that off. I was like, why is there a slope there? The reason that there's a slope there is because there's a slope there. Who'da thunk? Okay. So this is what we're looking at right now. I know. So if we're looking back at the front of the boat, right, it's got that like little hook bit to it in the front, where it like lowers back down into the pointy bit, the pointy thingy-madoohicker. Maybe, I don't boat much. I watched a YouTube video of a guy building a boat knowledge. Exactly. And that's also the knowledge I'm working on. I just am trying to recreate a different video game's art style in a game that is completely not good at recreating other art styles. So we've got that dip in the front, and that, I mean, that's when you get into issues where you can only really dip here. And that's obviously way too far forward. So we might just ignore that, honestly. However, we could probably get away with doing something kind of fun by putting like stairs up here and then kind of curving the front around so that it gives you a nice little platform, that kind of thing. We'll worry about that in a bit. I'm mostly trying to focus on this back area because I feel like this is the most detailed part of the Galleon, is this little deck into cabin transition. And I still don't love the way that this is a hard 90-degree angle, but again, I feel like that may be what we're stuck with. With our combined lack of knowledge and artistic challenges, how could this not go well? Precisely. This is the confidence that we all need. So if we're looking, again, pull up the reference image, this is what we're trying to recreate, right? Is that pronounced cabin in the back, excuse me, a really like pronounced cabin with an overhang in the back. And then we've got like a really flat, long, rounded body. And then we've got the pointy bits, and then we got the masts, right? The sails will be difficult. I just thought, yeah, we're kind of gonna do a play on these sails with the raft sails. Raft is, I mean, you only need one raft sail in your boat, right? We all know this. However, more sails can be placed. So we're probably gonna use real, like, actual raft sails to do this. It's just gonna be finicky and annoying, is what it comes down to. Because there are ways you can place sails on top of each other. It looks weird, but it can be done. It can be done. All right, so again, defining features, big cabin with a big hard angle on top, flat body, thing going out front. And I think if we take off our reference image and we look at this boat, I think that's about as close as we're gonna get with, again, just using basic raft building blocks, right? Just using, because obviously if we get into the whole, you could do this entire thing out of detail plank. You can do literally anything with detail planks. That is true. However, I'm not salty, and therefore I don't have the patience for that. So we're gonna try and make this like a normal functional raft with foundations and walls and all that fun stuff, and not just purely use detail planks. Again, detail planks are fine for details. They're fine for details, but we're gonna use them sparingly. And we're going to try and focus mostly on standard building technique. Hi, I love your videos. I'm glad to hear it, friend. So for now, let's just cap off the rest of this front piece, because the rest of the bow just needs to be filled in. And I know that in Sea of Thieves, you know, there's that, like, technically this platform I think is actually raised. So there's like a little stair here to go up to some front cannons or something like that. But again, I don't play Sea of Thieves. I'm just trying to make a boat that looks similar. So for now, we're going to leave it empty, but if people decide that's something that they really, really want, we can worry about that. All right. Next step is building up the masts. And there's a couple ways we can do this. So again, we pull up the masts. There are 3 of them. We've got one pretty much dead center. So let's mark these out. We've got one dead center, one in the front, and then one kind of on top. So let's work on that assumption. Let's work on that assumption that those are going to be equally spread like that. So we've got one kind of in the center. We're going to mark these with pillars for right now. This is one of the things about having an even number, is that this would, or an odd number, is that we're going to have to do it like this just so we can mark placement, because this is our center row. Then you got one towards the front. And then probably one here-ish, I would say, which is going to be a bit weird to work with. And we can make that work. So that's fine. And then you would probably have your steering wheel. Steering wheel. That would probably go here, let's say. Alternatively, you could move it up to be like right here if you want it to be more functional, and then we could probably argue that you could put the mast right there. I think, because again, I don't play Sea of Thieves, someone correct me on this if I'm wrong, that your steering wheel is generally like behind the mast. So that, you know, let's just use these as a building block for right now. That is also a solution we could use. It's going to be really finicky. Like if this was your mast and you just stacked a ton of those up, that would be your steering wheel. However, that is really inconvenient if you're trying to steer around islands. So, yep, and it's a huge pain to see anything in front of you. So we might just opt for a quality of life difference and put the steering wheel right there. We might just be like, it's fine. Alternatively, what this does give us the option to do, right? And this is something that we can easily discuss and or change as people decide that this is not a viable technique for them, is if we decide we want the mast to be right around, let's grab just like a cheap leaf wall or something like that. We can build this like so. Then we come grab a number of shelves, because shelves are wonderfully broken in so many ways. And we want this to be kind of centered in the middle of this block. So realistically, we should probably take it and do it like this. And then you can just kind of, you know, make your own mast up. And as long as you leave the shelf with a carpet, it'll actually continue to float, which is a bit weird. So if I, just for the sake of demonstration, if I do a little bit of this, and then we put down that, and I grab just like a normal rug. I'll use this one because it's the smallest and looks the least intrusive. You can also do that. That is what you can rotate rugs on shelves, and it leads to some fun and strange interactions. You can also free rotate them. Spinny, spinny. But let's just say, you know, you were doing like that. And then you came in with your long cabinet, right? You can still do something a little bit like that, and then you can remove this wall entirely, and it'll stay floating. That does stay completely floating, and sometimes you can even get rid of the carpet after something else is placed. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna turn off building utilities really fast. Whoops, I forgot that that updates. Okay, don't break anything else. And I think if I remove that... No, okay, so you do need the carpet in that particular instance. We're turning it back on, because I didn't build this properly for vanilla Raft, but it's fine. It only updates blocks that are connected to it, so the rest of this is still fine. It's still fine, but you can see that this is all still fully supported and that kind of thing, which tells you how weird the physics in this game are. Oh yeah, these are just things that I didn't bother supporting properly because I don't really care for the sake of right now. These are all things that you can easily fully support without mods or anything like that. But you do need the carpet, it turns out, for if you want to build with the long cabinets, and that's totally fine. Or you need a wall to leave up, but obviously the wall is a bit big and a bit far in the way, so I think it would look probably a bit best with like little dots. But let's say that we wanted a mast more or less in the center, so I think that kind of offset looks the best. And then we move this up so it's not colliding with the floor. Right? And then if we bring this up a little bit. The best part about how long these cabinets are is that you can kind of wiggle your way around the placement and be like, I just want it to line up with that. The hardest part is getting them to line up like on the right plane, because sometimes they don't want to do that. Then you can do something kind of a little bit like that. And that is still all technically vanilla Raft. That just requires a little bit more placement patience. And yes, you get this like weird ladder effect on one side, but I feel like it's honestly fine. I feel like that's not that big a deal personally. So if we were to take this railing and block off this side, can I fit right here? No. So you'd probably want to do this like a little bit further back, or do it based off of a wall, this wall, instead of this one. So that way that becomes walkable. But that could be a mast idea that looks a bit more substantial, because frankly, building them out of pillars looks dumb. Building them out of pillars looks stupid. Let's be completely honest. Actually, can you hear me out? If we were to come in here and grab a ladder, let's see, this is our main bulk right here. So, that's one, that's two. We were to put a ladder in the center of this, like so, because that's going to be our main mast. It should be a little bit further back. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. Okay. So this was our main mast. Could I theoretically... No, it won't let you place ladders on or shelves on that, but I think you can still get away with it if you were to do like this first. This is just for testing purposes. I don't care what this looks like right now. If I were to then remove this, could I theoretically place a ladder here? Would that allow? Yeah, okay. So you could do it like that and then still have a big main ladder. Not trying to be rude, but the Galleon stairs are from the sides, not connecting in the middle. Yes, that is true. However, this isn't meant to be like a true one-to-one recreation. I think this will just make the interior a bit better to manage and also look a bit nicer in terms of pure Raft. So, because we could easily just have it go up here, but then you end up with this like kind of... Here, I'll show you. I'll show you. This is when we run into the issue of playable Raft design versus exact recreation. So one moment. So we could have each stairs going purely up the sides. Like so. And then you end up with your door still centered in the middle. And you can kind of get away with it if you do something a little bit, you know, you try and create this space to be nested in here somehow, like that. But then you kind of lose access to this particular chat dead. It happens. People, you know, people are allowed to vibe and do what they want to do. No one is obligated to be here. So again, you could end up with this kind of like cabinet space here, where things aren't fully connected, or you could just leave this out, but then you end up with this really, really flat and boring area. And I personally don't like that. So in terms of my own personal preference, as opposed to an exact one-to-one, I like to have it come out this way and be more of a, you know, specific style. Is there a way to do like a septagon shape, or would that take up too much space? I mean, kind of, but the only real way to get diagonal angles in Raft is with, like if we took a wall like so and do like this kind of thing, and that just looks way too big for a mast. Like that just looks massive comparatively. You know? So I feel like going with the cabinet idea is probably going to be the most efficient, both in terms of resources and in terms of making something that is functional. Because one of the harder things, the bigger your raft gets, the harder it is to make it fill, the harder it is to fill it to make it feel like things are actually happening and you don't just have a lot of really empty dead space. Like, if you go onto the Raft Reddit, people have some really fantastic build ideas and that kind of thing that I would highly recommend you checking out. However, if you go into, like, the big builds, you'll notice that all of them just start placing tons and tons of chairs in a room and that kind of thing. That's not necessarily what we're going for here. We want something that's a bit more cohesive and flows a bit better. So in this case, we're ignoring the source material in order to make something that feels a bit more complete, if that makes sense. I hope I explained that in a way that explains what I'm doing and why. Because we want this to feel like a pirate ship, and this, honestly, I like having this archway here, because then this space also becomes usable. We can fully remove these right here. You know, and this becomes storage space and that kind of thing. So in order to make our boat functional, we're prioritizing a little less accuracy. Again, I hope that made sense and that you understand the what and the why. And you could also technically, I suppose, remove this. Oh, no, you can't. Never mind. I mean, you could remove this if you really were desperate for that extra little thing. I think you can place like a small storage under there if you really want one. It's a good place to hide it from your friends. But Yeah, I know they don't connect in the middle. I just think it ends up working better with the way Raft plays as a game, personally, so. That's my own personal take on it. You are, of course, welcome to your own opinion. So let's take a look at the sails real fast. So we've got 3 sails, 2 layers of sails, 2 layers of sails. So it's 2 on either side and then 3 in the middle, right? And obviously the middle one is the tallest, closely followed by the one on the back, followed by the one in the front. And they'll have little flags on top that we can do with streamers and that kind of thing. Excuse me. So let's take a look at this. I kind of like this idea of having this thicker mast that feels a bit more complete. And I feel like what we're gonna do. So let's figure out what we're gonna start at. So I feel like if we start, we need them also to all be offset, right? Because they can't all have all the sails at the same height. Otherwise, it's just gonna look too monotonous. It's not gonna look really visually distinct, I think is what I'm trying to say. And we want our things to be visually distinct. We want them to look unique. So I think this is probably going to look best about here-ish. That might be too far forward. Let's take a look. That is not too far forward. Okay. So we're just going to lay out exactly where we want these things to go for right now. And we said that we wanted this one to appear further back here. So that way, you know, we can probably build it on. We can do this one. Where is my leaf wall? We can do this one on this side. With something like this, right? Let's pick a visual indicator so that we always place the shelf at the same axis. Hi, Ellie. Hello, friend. How's it going? It's Conoco. Hi, Conoco. Long time no see. How you doing? Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, so if we lay out our mask like that, that should work. And then I just want to make sure if we pick a visual indicator, or make sure we're always placing the top nub of our shelf at that little dot on the leaf thing. Theoretically, then we can come in and do something that looks like that. Then this, if we turn off flying, yeah, that's now fully walkable. That's now fully walkable. This is fully functional. It all works. It's all coming together. Right, and we already proved that we can still place ladders right here. So, nice. That all works. That's all good to go. That's all good to go. And that gives us an idea of how to space this. So if we take another look at our reference image. Excuse me. Oh, Conoco. Thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much, friend. That's so unnecessary. All right. Okay, so middle sail starts the lowest. And then those two start higher up. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Which means that ideally we probably want to start this layer of sails right here. This is one of those weird Raft dynamics that you learn if you play way too much Raft. And Gunsy, my new favorite streamer. Aw. Thanks, friend. Thank you, friend. If we take that and we put it there, right? This is one of those weird things that if you play too much Raft, you understand that you can actually place that right there. Again, right now it's showing me that I can place them anywhere, but this actually works. And that's something that legitimately is in vanilla Raft. And then you do that, and that way you can kind of, like, obviously we're going to have the gap in the middle that we can't really bridge because of the way that things place in this game. But you still get the effect of a larger sail. Especially if we can fudge it a little bit up here. I think what we might want to do is instead of having a true full mast in the middle of this one, if we do the same kind of idea here, right? And then we just put it up another half pillar. Not all the way, but Something like that, you know? And then we come out here and we're like, haha, look. All of this works as intended. You can do like that. I need more sails. That starts closer together. I mean, we could. We could go for You What Mate's favorite build technique real fast. That You What Mate just learned about. And just really fudge it. And do something that looks a little bit more like this, and then we take the same concept and we do this again. Then that should allow me to place that right there. Do you play with mods, or did mods never interest you? I actually have a number of mods running right now. These are all mods that are utility based, so I'm sure you couldn't tell by reading the names what they do. But I mostly use mods to enhance what I'm already doing rather than to change the game, if that makes sense. That's something that's a priority for me, so. So that is a way where you can make a more bulky, more dense sail. And then we can, as long as that pillar continues to be supported in the middle, we can actually get rid of the rest of these, which is part of how you can manage all of this. Are you also on Twitch or just YouTube? Both right now. I'm on both right now. Galleon, more like Celestion. Hey Curtis. How's it going? So you could do that. I don't want to do that for here because we don't want to block off the ladder, and you can't, at least to my knowledge. You can try this real fast. I don't think you could put a ladder. Oh, yeah, you could. I'm just being dumb. Absolutely you could. There's no reason why you should be able to. But would that interfere with our mast design? Snert. Okay, so if we were to do something like that, right? And then we would do our single axis offset, that would stay supported because, again, those two are connected. This game's physics make complete sense all the time. That would theoretically allow, if I were to remove these, then that would theoretically allow me to place right in the middle here. Like so. Some recommendations, like your personal top 5. That's a good question. I personally really, like, my number one mod that I use above anything else is building utilities. Because this mod really simply allows you to say that I want to do something that definitely isn't possible in the base game. Like if I wanted to combine a number of things, if I wanted things to collide that otherwise couldn't collide. So say I wanted to place, you know, this, I can kind of, you can do some really fun stuff like that. Obviously this is not part of the vanilla game. So I use this all of the time. I use this more than any other mod. And it works amazingly. The other one that I use all the time is, of course, this true no clip, because that allows you to not only get this no clip mode that is inherent to Raft. It's a little floaty, and you can see Rohi over there just moving away at the speed of sound. But it also gives you a true no clip. Oh, I forgot that Raft is cap sensitive. Where now I'm moving with my character, but I can actually, you know, still go through walls and that kind of fun stuff. So those are my number 2. Obviously, they're really specialized to what I use mods for, but still. Hey, Allie, loved your 101 tips. My friends and I are now in the snowy world and your tips help so much. I'm so glad to hear that, friend. I'm so glad that they were useful for you. I'm glad that they could be helpful. Yeah, so we can kind of make a more billowy, filled out sail that way as well. Shrink ray for the sails, please. I know. I know. And then, out of curiosity, can I still place a ladder there? I don't think it would let me place one further up, though, and that may become an issue as we get to the crow's nest, and whether or not we want the crow's nest to be accessible, or if we just want it to look good. Because that changes the way we do things. One of my friends binged all of them. Oh, goodness. Oh, that's a... Like, each one of those is at least a full minute long. If you go to TikTok, they're actually slightly longer, because TikTok only pays me for videos that are longer than a minute. So, if you're on TikTok, you do get slightly more content. Slightly more. I came to Twitch because it's slightly faster. It does... I don't know why that is, why YouTube has that set delay, but it does. Twitch is just generally better for streams. It absolutely is. I'm not going to deny that. But, alas, YouTube is where I've built most of my established people, and I love you all. So that's kind of a way we can make the sales work, and if we build this up, then we can afford to do... Again, right now I'm going to cheat this just so we can get an idea to make sure that this would all theoretically work. Weirdly enough, some of these build permissions that I'm ignoring can actually be completely ignored if I were to just do that, because it sees that this like sail bit is in the way, so if you rotate these, then it's no longer in the way. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I don't have answers. I just work here. And you do need this to go up another half wall. Just trust me, you do. Your tips were definitely great. I'm actually quite experienced in Raft and still learned some things. I'm glad to hear that. I tried to make sure that there was something for everyone, even if you'd played the game 1,000 times like I had. So, I'm glad that it worked for you. Then we're just gonna pretend that we hadn't placed these sails yet. You do want to place them second, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. Everything's fine. We're just gonna pretend that we hadn't placed those yet. I don't know why I'm doing this out of half pillars, but we're doing it. And then we can kind of do the same thing where we would do it like this, where it stands along that. And you can actually get rid of these because they're supported by those pillars. Did you get moderators set up on YouTube? I did. I did indeed. But anyways, I gotta get to school. Indeed. Go to school, friend. It's important. But look, I'm building this. We'll for sure watch the video. Again, if we get a design I'm happy with, it will turn into a full build tutorial. So there is that. Like, YouTube can get it when it comes to discoverability and edited content. Not darn, but YouTube is much more pleasant to participate on. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm at work, but I came to say hi. Hi, Pringle. How you doing? And then from there, we can do kind of like this, right? Something a bit more like that. And this height is mostly to allow the sails to exist. Sometimes you can get away with doing it right at the border, but then it gets really finicky. It's just easier to leave a little bit more gap. And then you don't have to worry about it. Again, this may be like, you can't place this right now, but if you just rotate your sails, it'll be fine. Do I know why? No. It's just the way Raft be sometimes. So then that becomes our big center sail. Kind of like that, and then again, go back to our reference image. I would love them to be more neatly stacked, and again, theoretically you can sometimes get away with it. Sometimes being the operative word. Sometimes it will let you, sometimes it will not. So like right now it says that it's colliding. However, sometimes it's like, yeah, that doesn't matter. Because ideally we want it to be a bit more clustered like this, right? And for now I'm going to cheat because I don't want to redo this all again. This was also one of the things I ran into a ton of times when building the original pirate ship. Because it took me a lot of times of like replacing sails to figure out all the spacing and that kind of fun stuff. Solid. Out of curiosity, this is something I haven't experimented with before, but I'm curious if it'll work. Could you theoretically... I think you only need like a certain amount of space to place a sail. Good, roundabout of misfits over there, indeed. There are so many rowdy misfits. Really fast. We're gonna turn this off. I know it's risky, but I need it to ignore permission requirement. Okay, no, that doesn't work. So you can't place a sail on a shelf. At least not in this specific orientation, which is what I wanted to know. All right, and then before we remove anything else, make sure building utilities is back on. It is important. And that at least gives them slightly more clustering. It's not ideally, like, it's not perfect, but it's better. You know? And then from here, we could really just take 2 pillars all the way up. Like so. We can probably get away with a half pillar there if we get lucky. And then we just take this out this way in either direction. Curtis redeemed T, because of course Curtis redeemed T. I'll honor that in just a second, my friend. Again, a lot of these collisions that I'm intentionally overriding right now can be completely avoided if you just rotate your sails. So those ones aren't a real problem. They're just a thing. I don't know. And then you should be able to do this. Again, you might need to raise it another half pillar. But that would allow us to do that and get a much smaller but still larger topsail right there. Which we're gonna do the same exact thing on top of this one. So we're gonna go up, up, and then you can probably even, I think you could get away with doing half pillars here. I don't think you need that much space. So you could probably just do that and have less stuff going out to the side. Like that, and then you just kind of line them up a little bit. That's not half bad. I do kind of want these to be wider out down here. Like we may want to put another one out to this side. That does look a little bit lopsided. It'll look better once we get rigging in and we, again, get the pointy bit that I don't know the name of out there. So, just a week ago, bought Stardew Valley. Do you have some tips and tricks for me? I love Stardew Valley, but I am by far and large not the best informational content creator for that game. I would recommend, you know, prioritizing fishing because fishing is a great way to make money. However, I'm sure that there are plenty of other fantastic YouTubers or streamers out there who would be able to give you a lot more specific and just better advice than I can. I love Stardew, but I do not play it correctly, shall we say. I'm just there to have a good time, not a long time. It's a whale! I always forget that they do that little spurt, because it looks like a one of the firework effects. Alright, so this is kind of what we're working with in terms of our original mass design. Actually, probably what you would end up doing is having to build up these first, like so. Probably another 2.5, something like this. And then you can do the crow's nest up here. And because these are floating floors, they'll support having things in the middle. I have tips if needed. I'm glad you are there to offer. It's, again, not my strong suit. You could do something like this, and then probably even you could get away with another floating floor like here-ish. And this can become your crow's nest. And then you would get rid of these pillars because those are floating, therefore they don't need true guidance. If we were to do a ladder up, again, I don't know if a ladder would be possible with this particular sail right here. You would do it something like this all the way through again. If you literally just do this, it will no longer tell you that they're colliding. Go all the way up, half layer on top. Then add a railing, either rope or solid, probably. And then we rotate these back into position. It may not even look like there's too much of a gap with the ladder there, honestly. Then you probably will be able to get away with, yeah, placing the sails afterwards. Because the bottoms don't actually have collision. Like, these things don't actually collide with anything. They're figments of your imagination. They're not real. And that way, that crow's nest looks a little bit big from down here. We may have to figure out a way to make that smaller. Or probably like offset it so that it actually comes out right here. The mast goes higher at the top. That's good to know. So we would probably end up doing like a little bit of this then or something to make it look a little bit more balanced. That's a tasty drink. Is there anything better than Allie in a beverage chat? Many things. Also, I never honored Curtis's tea, so... Here's friend. Yeah, we'll put the flags and that stuff on once we figure out how high we want the sails to be. All right, so let's see. We've got kind of that structure. And I want to look at, again, I want to, whoops, make sure that this is consistent. So if we take this, I'm going to make it so it's not blocking everything anymore. We're going to put it up there so that we can kind of see what we're trying to make. I can't change like the billowing of the sails. Like I can't make that any bigger or any smaller. That's, again, that's a Raft thing, not something I can change. But I think that works decently well. Again, I kind of want these ones to be closer together. I want it to be like a nice pyramid. So it may even be worth adding like another layer right here. Let's see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. If it looks good, we'll keep it. If it looks bad, we won't. Easy clap. Yeah, we're gonna pretend that that's fine, because it is fine. It's just finicky. And I'm not worrying about rotating all my sails again for right now. This is why you place all of them and then open and rotate them, kids. I do think that's slightly better. Especially once you paint them all white. Flag on top of the middle one and streamers on the front and back. Yeah, again, we'll worry about that once we guarantee that we like all of the heights and that kind of thing. Because for now, I want to make sure that these are actually in the place that I want them to be. I like that better. I think that adds a lot more texture to it. And I think if we even go up, so this one starts at this height, so right here, then yeah, having this one start at this height should be the same thing. We want the same exact structure as this one right here, where we do our two pillars, then we go out on the sides. Like, I mean, let's just do this. In my brain, unfortunately. That's a good place for them to be. We like things inside the brain. That. And then pillar. Pillar. Craft all the sails. That goes there. Oops, I shouldn't have rotated that because we want the things to be on top of these temporary pillars. We go up 2 layers. And then we do the 3 across. All right, and again, probably what we want is this to not be that. We want it to not be quite so obtrusive. Although it kind of works to fill it in, but again, if we want that triangle shape to be nice and distinct, I feel like the half pillars are better. So we'll do the same thing right here. Like that, where then you got this one here, that one there. Nice. That all looks good. And then you kind of do the same thing right here. And then if we just come in here, add a pillar right there, pretend that all of the collision is fine. Should be able... This is when, again, we run into the issue of using tech that does actually work and is completely vanilla. I gotta go. Have a nice stream. Thanks for stopping by, friend. It's glad to have you here. Is technically vanilla, but is also definitely interesting, shall we say. That should be supported. Is it collision with these pillars that it's detecting? Or is it these? Because these things are a problem, as we've gone over. Oh yeah, okay, so it was either one of those. But again, you can easily come back and refill this as long as we get rid of that. Pokedoop? Am I missing something? Alright, so that should work. If we open that up, whoops, that was already open. There we go. There go our sails, and we can continue the masts up a little bit to try and fill them in. But that gives us a bit more structure to work with. And also makes it look a bit more round. We can get rid of these supporting pillars because we don't actually want or need them. They're just there to make building possible. Same thing down here. We only want the center ones. Get rid of that. Or again, we're going to end up with certain strange pillar placements because like, Raft is weird. But I think that's, all things considered, that looks pretty darn good if we just rotate these forward so that they look a little bit more clean. That's not bad. That's not half bad. Our pillars clustered tightly in a 4x4 possible? Not really. You can only place them on the corners, truly. And if you use the single or the double axis offset, you can kind of fudge it a little bit if you do something like this. And then you put like one right here. Here, we'll move this into an area that's a bit more clear so we can kind of see what's happening. We'll do it right here. All right, so if I've got my axis offset that I want to do, let me build another pillar right there. Remove all this, pretend that that's just floating because you can support it in a number of ways. This is like the tightest clustering you can get naturally in Raft is like this. And obviously that doesn't work great as a mast, which is why we were debating about using the shelf and that kind of thing. Also MV Redeemed T. Hi friend, how's it going? How you doing? All right. So make sure that the time of day stays consistent so that it's easier to build. So we could go with this. Alternatively, we could go back to our original idea in which we remove these first because we can't place anything on them directly, but what we can do is build a cheap wall that goes up like so. Pretend everything is fine. Again, if we remove this slightly like this, that should be totally fine to place, so. We're gonna pretend it's fine. We're gonna pretend it's fine for now. We're gonna see if we even like this concept. Because if we don't like the concept, there's no point in continuing. We're just using the center mast as proof of concept. And we want the nub to align with the dot, like we said. Nub aligns with dot on all of our shelving units. Nub aligns with dot. Because that'll help us keep us consistent in terms of our like general placement. We might end up like having to skip this one. For right now, we're just going to override so we can get an idea. And I want more of these big cabinets real fast. And then we get to do the fun process of trying to align and place them all. Which means that theoretically, if I just follow my line up, since we placed all of these at roughly the same height, they should all work. This might be something you have to do first and then sails, because again, sail collision is a bit of a beast. It's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. That one looks like it's offset, so you may have to place a shelf further down, like right here, to make that work. Unfortunately, once you have one lined up, it's a lot easier to align a second. You would have to get rid of this shelf here and then go from here. And that then works, so. It's a time. it's a time to try and get some of these things to be exactly the way you want them to be. You would remove that one, do the same thing here, where you really carefully align it directly below a sail that's aligned with your set point. I do this because sail collision. You will never hear me not complain about sail collision. And then we say, is that worth the effort? Where we come and we remove all of these real fast. We leave the shelves because you will need the shelves. Shelves are what makes things float. And you do this all the way up. And you do that without the sails. Excuse me. Is that worth it? Yes, it's a lot more bulky. Excuse me. Yes, that's a lot more structural. At the same time, I'm not convinced it's worth it. For the extra effort that you would have to do that versus, you know, the end result. Because I feel like you still get the nice concept of the masts really well if we just put the ladder in. So if I remove this, I just want to say the fishing trawler example you gave made it so much easier for gathering resources. Thank you. I'm glad you liked that design. I'm glad you enjoyed it, friend. Alright, so let's pretend that we're just using ladders as our masts right now. Because those are really easy to build, right? I think I'm inclined to say that that gives you enough structure. Like, sure, it doesn't have the width to it that we would necessarily want, but I feel like in terms of grand structure, that still works quite well. And we can do the same on these ones so that, you know, you're still... Yeah, I know the sail's technically in the way right now, but for now, just ignore it, it's fine. Because again, the point of a tutorial is to be easy enough to follow that if you guys wanted to build this raft after, you know, I published the steps for it, you could. That you don't have to spend hours and hours rotating shelves and trying to stick cabinets on them at specific angles for something that makes a really minimal difference. I want my things to be easy to follow and easy to recreate. Which is, of course, sometimes hard to pull off. So I think that gives us enough illusion of depth and strength that we don't have to continue to play with it too much, you know? What I do want to do is build... I don't know if this works, so let's test something else that's a little bit less important, but also interesting to me, personally. Where is it? There you go. Tons and tons of zip lines. Can you... I'm anticipating the answer is no. Okay. No, you cannot anchor a zip line to the back of a ladder, which means we would have to find a way to carry up. I mean, that's easy to do. It's just annoying. So you'd have to do this first, like so, then put this right here, and then place the sails. That's a build order thing. That's a build order thing that makes Raft annoying, where it's not, like, it doesn't actually matter. It's just like the order in which you place things affects whether or not you can place them, you know? So if I temporarily get rid of that, then we would be able to just normally place the sail right back here. Because again, without this little bit right here, if you rotate them, they don't have collision, sails suck. Moral of the story today is that sails just suck. And then from here, what we can do is if we were gonna like start talking about rigging and that kind of thing, what you would do is you would take this and you would attach another one right here, right? And then you can do that. And then you can start putting in your ropes and all that fun stuff, right? Because rigging, like, you see this boat right now. Oh, Railway doesn't like my ideas. Oh no. What ideas are you giving? Are you giving Railway? I don't think I want to know. This is making me want to do a lot of pirate games. I would also recommend Salt. Salt is getting a lot of attention right now from the devs as well. So if you're into Sea of Thieves but don't want to deal with other people, Salt is a pretty great solution in my opinion. And so again, the same thing that we did up here, you would do right here, where you would place these pillars first, go up, and then go over. And I was gonna wait a few months so I could do March. It's a bad pun. It's a bad pun, Vex. It's a bad pun. I'm your friend and I will tell you this honestly. It's a terrible pun. Alright, and then you would just do the same thing again, where rotation is a thing, but we're just ignoring it, because I'm not going back and redoing everything. And then you would do the same thing. But you see how that artificially gives us 3 heights of sails? I think that works. I think that works quite well. And then even because we put that pillar there, I think, let's test this if I grab 2 streamers. Haha, I'm a streamer. And then we could put that right there, and that right there. They look so dorky and so small. I love them. I love them. Let's grab another one, and let's also grab our pirate flag, because of course we need our pirate flag. And then if you were to cap off this one, same way. Same idea. You could do... I don't think there's a way for me to place that on top of it unless... Let me do an experiment real fast. We'll see if this works. It's fantastic. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Hey, do it in survival. Right now we're trying to come up with the concept. It's very possible that once I come up with the idea and test everything that I want, we'll do it in survival, but as far as the design process goes, obviously creative is the way to go. So for now, we're working mostly in creative so that I can make sure that I'm getting the results that I want. Could I don't know if this is gonna work. I'm a bit nervous about testing this. Is all of those are fully supported. That is all completely logical in terms of the game. So then we may just have to decide as to whether or not we want a streamer here or a pirate flag, because I don't think we can do both. Dr. To be Allie is wrong. Doubt it. I like the to be. I'm not even in a PhD program yet. I'm still working on my master's. Someday I'll get there, but not yet. Not yet. Hello, Jeremiah. So that works. Well, we already have a streamer here, so this is true. I do like having the little streamers on top of the little ones. I think that's cute. Is it like necessary? No, but it's cute. I do like that. I also feel like this needs a better transition because it feels too sharp, and I know that that's the way it looks in the original source material. But at the same time, it looks too sharp, you know? I feel like this would even... No, I hate that. I hate that. It's like, do you want... Or do we just extend that one more so that it feels more weighted and more grounded? Or do we... Because if we do that, right? Like, then this logically flows up from there. And that kind of gives us some of the effect of the extra shaping, but then you have that, like, weird gap as well, and... Things to consider. And then, of course, we come to the big pointy bit in the front. In which case, this actually... This might be where we go a little bit ham. Because you could, of course, do... No, that's gonna look too bulky. I just thought of some... Okay, no, we're gonna go ham. We're gonna see if this works. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just gonna try it and see what happens, okay? Because, again, we want something to be in the center of this. And we could go back to doing our another axis offset. And that kind of thing, right? But then we run into the issue of everything looks too bulky. So what if we take the same concept that we were just using to build the mast up, right? What if we take that same idea that we were just using, we take these, this is just for concept. This is just proof of concept right now. And again, right now all of this is completely vanilla Raft mechanics. I'm just abusing them. So, and this will allow us to get, theoretically, a custom angle. We might need to do this with whole walls to get the angle that I'm looking for. Then we come underneath, and we say we want it to come out at roughly, you know, like a kind of shallow angle, not like a full angle. Okay, we need to do this with full walls. We need to do this with full walls all the way. Or I think we need to do 2 at a time and then go up and over. Hello, game. There you go. And do that. So that way we can theoretically... I mean, we could have it pointing down like this. That might be easier to align. But I want them coming off the bottom because I think it'll look better. Alternatively, you can hide this more easily. So if we do it like this... I forgot that these have weird collisions when they're on specific angles and not just like verticals. Does it work better if it's this way? No. No, it doesn't. Okay. Will there be a plank for people to walk? Maybe people who make bad puns? Maybe people named Vex? That can be arranged. One moment. Okay. There's the plank. Fantastic. No notes. Mission accomplished. Alternatively, you can kind of fudge it a little bit with these guys on top of shells. However, I have a different idea for how to do these. And that kind of thing. Not even big enough for me to walk on. Well, that can be remedied. Okay, there's the plank. The plank is now big enough. Mission success. What other structures can we use? Because I feel like a table is going to look too wide, you know? And you also can't rotate them freely like you can a shelf, and you can't place... Yeah, that would look too big. That's not... It doesn't... We need something 3D, like a column. Which is why I'm leaning towards these, like, long columns. Missed you all week? Well, I'm back now. I was very, very stressed for the majority of this week. Because I had my thesis defense. And all that... Or my proposal defense, not my thesis defense. They're different. You could... this obviously is not something that you would do in vanilla, but you could, theoretically, do this. Because these do actually stack on top of each other. You could do this. This would be a major flex. But it does work. It does work. Is it a good option? No. Is it a valid option? Yes. I've clipped you bullying me. I have my receipts now. Oh no. Again, that's not like an ideal way to do this because it requires, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3 tiki poles, which is 15 tiki pieces. And also there's like this weird gap right here. We're just gonna ignore that shelf for now. You could actually collide that with carpets and that kind of thing. So that is an option. Again, it's a bad option, but it is an option. I'm just gonna clear out my inventory real fast. Because I've got all these like random things that we're experimenting with. And my inventory gets really cluttered really fast. Alright, we're also just gonna give myself a backpack so that it happens less. Nice. Alright. Because again, we want something to work really well for that pointy bit. And again, the pointy bit is a technical term. Very rare. Again, it does technically work. It's not a good idea, but it does technically work. Because, oh yeah, the thing about using... I shouldn't have destroyed those. For doing this style of thing, where we're just building out a basic structure to use shelves on. I mean, I suppose you could just be boring and use pure shelves, but that doesn't seem like it would be dense enough, you know? Again, we really want that column shape specifically. The problem with detailed planks is that you can't put anything on them, which may not sound like a big deal. However, like one of my favorite things about shelves is that, you know, if I were to do this, or like, you know, slightly tilt this out or something, you know, in such a way, what I can then do is grab one of my zip lines and I could put this here, and this is actually fully functional here. Like I could drag a rope up here, and that's really nice to have. That's really important for me personally in my own like detail-oriented build stuff. Let's see. And you also get into the issue of various things of these need to come at different depths. So like this would theoretically be able to attach, you know, here as well. And it would be because sails are dumb. But let's see. What else can we come up with that would work to sit on a shelf like that? If we can't use the long cabinets, I don't think any of the other cabinets are going to work. Like, I don't think this is going to be any better. Yeah, because you see how that... That has potential if we can get it to collide all the way. This derives looks awesome. Thanks, friend. We're really experimenting with some stuff here. Really experimenting. The issue with that is, again, that wall collision. However, if we were to I need a carpet. Do this really fast, right? Hide some of our sins. Then do that. Then collision wouldn't be an issue here. Like so. Again, ideally you would want that to be a bit more centered, so you would probably end up having to do the single axis offset again. We're just getting rid of this. And then you could do something like this to make the nest, or whatever the pointy bit out front is. Again, ideally this would be half of one of these, because that's a bit wide for what I want. That being said, that is an idea, and it's easy to place, because if I just like keep grabbing more cabinets, you can stack these, and the game doesn't care that this doesn't matter, like physics don't matter, because if I take two of these, right, and I stack them like this, that works in the game, and it's the same mechanic, just applied right here at an angle. That may end up being the most viable option. Because that way you're not worried about, you know, making it easy to place. That's easy to do. It just requires a lot of extra wood, and it still is offset. And I think you can even get away with centering it a little more aggressively that way as well. So if we were to take something, we could even probably, just to see if this works, because I'm curious, right? If we took that, we took some of our shelves. We did like that. And then we put a shelf on top of the shelf, which we can do, because this game makes perfect sense at all times. Excuse you, what are you trying to attach to right now? Sometimes this game makes no sense in the way that it prioritizes certain surfaces. We could do... we're just going to kind of fudge it a little bit for a second. Then... Wee! Excuse me. No, I don't think that solution's going to work. Okay, so not that way. However, we do our favorite little technique. Our favorite little technique, and we do a little bit. Because all we need is one. And then I think from there it should all just, like, work. We do this. Then we do this. Excuse me. I managed to catch a slight cold this week after, you know, like, surviving finals and all that fun stuff. So now my voice is just like, haha, what if we cease to exist? That's obviously going to be a bit too high, but this is just proof of concept. I think we'll have to do a cabinet face up. Ideally, cabinet would be face down. But alas, if this is what we're working with, this is what we're working with, and that would allow you to center it more aggressively, methinks. Yeah, because then you could get away with doing like that. Just keep in mind that this pillar is now directly aligned with the center. So if you can kind of fudge it and like align it that way. Like so. I do think that works. You would need to start the single axis offset further down, obviously, to make it work. So instead of putting the pillar there, you would need to put the pillar probably right here, which you would then need to place. Then we get into all this complicated placement dynamics. This is where you would need to place, you know, like a triangle here or something, and then place the pillar. Because this game hates angles for some reason. And then you would place that there. And then you could take your pillar out, like so. And then from there, you can place your shelf. And just kind of do it slightly like this. And then you place your carpet on top of that. And then you delete the pillar that you used. And then from there, you can get away with this kind of nonsense. That's so stupid. 20 people watching right now is far too low for this quality content. I'm fine with, you know, it's like only the second time I've ever streamed on YouTube. People don't know that I'm trying to learn how to stream on YouTube and that kind of thing. It's also not part of my regular schedule. So I'm so incredibly glad that there are 20 of you here. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way, that I am still incredibly grateful that 20 of you were like, hey, that seems fun. And you get to spend your Friday, whatever time of day it is for you, with me. And I'm very grateful for that. Build it and they will come. I understand that reference. That was a movie my dad made me watch. I think I like this. It looks a little bit dumb at the transition point, but you can hide that with some paint and with a detail plank or two. You can hide that. That's like if we grab a few of these bad boys, we can do this. I'm really bad with detail planks, which is again why I don't use them. But yeah, okay, that transition, and you can paint this to just blend in with the background, and that gap won't matter anymore. And then again, actually extending the cabinets out once you place the first one is super simple. It's literally just placing them on top of each other. And you can see how sometimes it lights up, sometimes it doesn't. That's just this game being this game, so. Because that's just a normal placement mechanic like this. And then you can get rid of this because now the carpet is supporting everything. So we can just come and fill this back in. Physics isn't real and can't hurt you. It's my main message, and then we can probably get away with doing like that. Nice. Nice. I like that. I think that works. I think that works. It looks a bit dorky, but again, it's never going to be a one-to-one recreation because of the different dynamics in building and Raft and like the kind of structures we have available to us. So I think that works. Thoughts? Feelings? Opinions? Any of the above? I think that completes the structure. And again, you're welcome to your own opinions. We may end up having to change some things to accommodate your Raft needs, you know, because obviously there are certain things in Raft that we need to worry about that you don't worry about in Sea of Thieves, like a windmill. You know, this is something that's going to look out of place no matter where we put it or what we do with it, right? So realistically, we're probably just going to end up slapping it on the back and calling it a day and that kind of thing. You could probably... I wonder if this will work. 1 second. If you really wanted efficient battery charging, you could probably convince the game to put it up here with some carpets. But realistically, for being completely honest, you're going to end up shoving this in the corner. Probably something like that. You could do one on each side. Well, Effects likes it. I'm kind of obligated not to. Understandable. Have a nice day. And again, this is not something you're going to deal with in Sea of Thieves, is windmills charging your batteries. Of course, you could prioritize biofuel and like that kind of method for getting rid of your excess or your battery needs and that kind of thing. Whoops. This is part of the reason I hate detail planks. I know, we just fill in those gaps. These gaps aren't even really noticeable, but again, just to try and please everyone, make things look a little bit nicer, we'll do this. Ignore the fact that it's not entirely straight. It's fine. Everything's fine. I hate detail planks. I'm not good with them. So that way, we get into the fun phase where we get to make this actually work as a raft, right? Because this is a structure that if we compare it to that image, I'm bad at directions, over there, the one that's really up in that corner. That took me so much more effort than it really should have, but you know, 20 tubers are cheering right now. Woo! Tuber party. Potatoes. Yeah, so I like this. I think this is like a decent comparison. Obviously, I would like this angle to be sharper. But Raft gives us a 45-degree angle. That's what we got going for us. So it's going to be tilted a bit. I mean, you could argue that you could just like cut it here and that would give it the same effect. But again, this is one of the differences where we're prioritizing functionality over just pure aesthetic and ease of building. So we're balancing a number of factors to make this something that you could feasibly recreate in survival without spending hours and hours trying to place detail planks and that kind of thing. So we are going to replace these with windows because I have declared it so. And I like windows. So with that out of the way, we're going to turn off this one. I'm going to put this in the center of the screen real fast. So now we get to look at the details. Right? And there's a lot of details to worry about. Obviously my crow's nest is pretty darn big. That's fine. It's like in the smaller side of what you can accomplish in Raft, so I'm okay with that. I don't really care. Same with like the little details on the side and that kind of thing. What we can do to make the side a bit more interesting though, is because instead of having the ability to like make tiny holes, what we can do is we can replace the occasional thingy with windows. We could do it like this maybe. Although again, I have issues with doing it next to doors. We probably don't want that many. You would do it like this. And then instead of having those be like open spaces, whoops. I'm good at flying. What you do is you come in here, you grab, where is it? Curtains. Then you come in over the back and you cover it up by hanging it like at the top of the ceiling. And if you paint these the same colors you paint your sides, it just becomes like a little bit of extra depth without adding too much. Or of course, if you were really dedicated, you could block them off and make them a little bit smaller, that kind of thing. Like this. You can make the hole a little bit less noticeable. Then you do the same thing on the top, etc. So that it's not as, you know, much of a hole. Just to give it that tiny bit of extra depth. Personally, I don't view this as being all that necessary, but that's up to the individual and how much time you want to spend doing that. Again, I hate detail planks. Personally, not a fan. I love them, like I love what they can do, but I hate placing tons and tons of them. I find them super annoying to try and place a lot of. They're way too finicky for me. So if we're trying to recreate like that kind of little divot in the side, this is a good way to do it, is with a detail plank. I don't like it. So I'm not gonna spend all my time doing it right now. And again, you could probably get away with doing it every one, every other one, something like that. You may even want to do it on the bottom instead. However, we can also probably get away with using specifically tables as some of the more also like exterior decorations, is just like plopping those down to make up for those, like, what are they on the sides? I don't know what they are. I don't know enough about pirate ships. But you see, like, those things that have, like, the 3 things sticking down? You can do that with tables. Tables specifically over shelves, because if you look over here, tables have 2, or shelves have 2 that are on either end. Tables have 3 that are in the middle. So, and that's specifically why we're looking at the table there. And then if you just grab another one, place it, like, here-ish. That gives us that little thing. Then you can continue to make those little divots on the side as well. That doesn't change anything about the way the interior plays. It just looks like that on the inside. And it's all, again, about that exterior detailing and how far you want to go. However, I think that works. And I really like this little balcony. I think this is my favorite part of what we've done, is this little balcony right here. Now, realistically, let's see, we're going to take another look at a source image. So that one just has a tiny bit of extra color on the top and more in the cabin. This one is two-toned. So we could either go for a two-tone, although that necessarily wouldn't look great. I'm leaning towards more having the top in the cabin with the shape of what we got going here. Because that way you can color this part and up here, and you can probably get away with doing... Again, this is where I say that I hate detail planks, but I will use them occasionally, depending on what I'm doing and why. This kind of thing. Right, we want that to pop out a little bit. Realistically, I'll just come back in and cover this a little bit more, because I don't like how those knobs of the stairs are bigger for some forsaken reason. And then we do that. Just rotate it so that it works. And that way you can paint that and get a nice, like, specific color gradient here. Because we already did this, you can actually use pillars here. It's not going to collide because of the detail plank that I put in. That works, so you can paint that directly. You could do this if that's a specific thing that you wanted. Sometimes pillars can be weird with these, so it might be better for some people to do that and go back to the original hard shape that we had, as opposed to the slope. Because that'll allow you to paint those, like, little lines on the side. Hi, how's it going, friend? Yeah, because you can see, like, those little lines of detailing that might be helpful, that you can kind of recreate and, like, over here-ish. And same thing goes for, you know, adding pillars around the door, where that way you're going to get a bit more dimension of color and that kind of thing. Obviously, I can't add arches. Arches are not a thing in Raft. Nor will they ever be, as much as I can beg and plead for them. So you could do like that. And again, you'd probably want some kind of pillar going along right here-ish. Let's see, something like that. Again, the detail plank's in the way that I already placed. You would ideally place the pillars first and then the detail planks, but I got caught up, so. You could do that, and that would allow you. So say we wanted to come in and paint this, right? Let's paint it kind of in a similar style, just so we can kind of look at what we're working with. And we're gonna go like light tan on these big pieces here. You can probably afford to make the door like a darker shade of something like this. Best yet with the 2 bits. Thanks, friend. Oh, Raft's color wheel. It's a thing. It's a thing, all right. Okay, so we've got that. Then if we were to make this like white-ish. Hello. There we go. Gotta get specific angles on certain things. I don't love this color scheme. This is not the color scheme I would actually use to paint my raft, but just so we can get a sense of like adding the proper depth and that kind of thing. Hey, I redeemed tea. Oh, you did. I'm sorry, I missed it. That's on me. Cheers, friend. Or we could... Oh, that mid-air catch, though. What's your name? Allie. My name is Allie. Both in real life and online. It works really well for me. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Again, this is not the color scheme I would personally use. It's just like, so we can get an idea of how you could highlight this. And then I think you would even probably want to continue this line right here. Like so. And then you could make this line a little bit thinner with a half pillar. And they do line up in the back. That's horizontal, not vertical. This is vertical. Again, detail plank is in the way. We're not going to think about it. Like that. So that way you can kind of get an idea of like, if I were to paint this, excuse me, as well, that would also work. And you could, if you really wanted to, line, excuse me, you could line this with pillars as well to paint, since this will snap onto this grid, even though it's offset. So you could do it like this, same thing, going back here. Please don't die. Working on it. Mission in progress. Let me grab the brown for the railings. Also, fun fact, you can middle mouse click colors as well. So you can middle mouse click build section. So if I want to build a wall, then a pillar, without opening the menu, you could middle mouse click to replicate. Same thing goes for colors. So in order to grab the brown, just grab it off of here. Then I want to swap back to white, plain, etc. So that's a lot easier. That was like one of the first several 101 tips that I made. Back when I had no clue what I was doing or why. Yeah, okay, so that explains why you would add those kinds of pillars or whatnot, right? I think that makes sense. Tell me if it doesn't. That looks sweet. Thanks. Yeah, so that way, because again, I can't add arches. Arches are not a thing in Raft. There is no curved thing. How's your day? My day's going well. I'm developing a bit of a headache, and I caught a cold after struggling through finals this week. But, you know, I'm officially on winter break now, which is really nice for me. It means that, like, I can hopefully make more content and spend more time with you guys, which is a priority for me. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Again, I hate this color scheme, would never use it. This is just for demonstration purposes. Ideally, I'd probably swap more to this color scheme. I like these colors. This works better in my personal view. I think we could actually probably, if we put this one up in the same corner, that can go up there. Oh, that's the wrong image, apparently. Missed it. What do you study? I am studying marine biology. I am, in fact, a marine biologist. It's a good time. Would highly recommend. And then just, again, so we can make these look a little bit more cohesive, we'll do this. A little bit more cohesive. So that we can get an idea of, you know, what's going where and why. And so if you come out to this side, I feel like that gives you a good idea on the resemblance and that kind of thing. Oh, I missed a sail. Everyone ignore that. I missed one. Yeah, so if we transition this color scheme, so that color on the bottom is like this blue comparatively, because this one's more purple. You could probably make it work with this one, honestly. But I feel like it looks too saturated as opposed to this one. This one looks a little bit more desaturated, and I kind of like that, not gonna lie. Let me do this. Make these all slightly more blue, that kind of thing. Probably what we would need to do to make that work is transition it down at some point so we could have like the gold. Because the gold would need to go here-ish. The two-tone is hard. What draws you to Raft over other building games like No Man's Sky, Valheim, etc.? Excuse me. My throat is like so clogged today. I don't know why. I feel like I just started playing a lot of Raft, and now it's like my main game. Again, as you probably know, and are probably expecting of me, I play a lot of Raft. And it just got to this point where I was like, no one, or at least at the time when I started making Raft build tutorials, there weren't Raft build tutorials out there. At least not ones that I enjoyed, and that aesthetically. And so, as opposed to other games, like, there are other people who are doing their own thing and doing it well, but for Raft, there just wasn't someone trying to make designs that other people might find appealing, or that were functional, or like were upgradable, or that kind of thing. So I'm just like, hey, I can probably figure that out. Here we are. Here we are. It's not that I dislike other games. Quite the opposite. It's just that, oh my goodness. Excuse me. It's just that, like, I've played a lot of Raft, and now it's just kind of a thing for me, I guess. Just kind of a thing. Oh, I'm gonna try really hard to not perish. That would not go well. Not go well for anyone involved. I'm so sorry about that. I gave you explicit instructions to not die, Allie. Don't be rude. That is true. You did give very explicit instructions to not die. Just finished Raft yesterday. Why do you unlock such useful tools at the very end of the game when there's not much else to do? Believe me, that has been an ongoing concern. What time is it? That depends on what part of the world you're in. Theoretically, it's every hour of the day right now, depending on where you are. So... Alright. I'm gonna not focus so much on painting details right now, because, like, that's just a matter of adding in pillars and trying to find specific niches and that kind of thing. Can you? This is something I haven't tested, so it may not be possible. So with the Rhino Shark trophy, right? You can't put it on a trophy board. However, you can put it on the ground, or you can hang it from the side of something. Does this collide? Because it goes vertical. However, what does the vertical one look like? I wonder if you guys can feel or understand what I'm thinking about right now. So that is that, or you can hang it vertically, like from something. So you can hang it like right there. Technically that does work if I back up and don't get in. 42, and that is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Indeed. I love Douglas Adams. Last Chance to See is one of my favorite stories. Because I'm an ecologist, so it checks. The maths. I don't know if I, excuse me, if I were to put that on a shelf, if it would even, I don't think it even allows shelf detection. No, it doesn't. Okay. So that's not going to work. Because I was thinking about, because you know how like pirate ships have that, like the mermaid, traditionally that's the back of the boat, some kind of decoration that hangs under here, right? The rhino shark is like our best option for that kind of thing because it's the only thing that's sufficiently large and has a full model. However, I don't know what else we could theoretically do. We could mount like one of the larger heads. But again, those are flat. They're not as round as I want them to be. Just break the game a bit more, why don't you? Hanging the shark at an angle. It doesn't have shelf detection. In order for me to go at an angle, it doesn't do that. No, because I can't rotate a pillar. Darn it. Darn it. Any figurine. Like, yeah, you could do that. These are all really small. They're all really, really small. And that leads to different problems. Also, in case you didn't know, that the single axis offset also works with grass plots. So if I grab a grass plot real fast, you can also just like plop this on top of here, and it does have solid collision. I don't know why. Today I plan to propose to my friend after showing her the animal movie. Oh my goodness. Congratulations, friend. I hope it goes well. I hope it goes very, very well. Good luck. Also, Dooge, the Pikmin, welcome. I horribly butchered that. Holy crap. Welcome, welcome, friend. Yeah, ideally I would be able to place the rhino shark at an angle here using the same mechanic as the hanging mechanic, because that would look the cleanest. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's a way for me to get that because I can't rotate a pillar onto an angle. And I don't think a good way to test this is without the rotation, right? So if I grab that and grab our rhino shark back, yeah, it doesn't detect the shelf as an available surface. So that's not going to work. Which means that that whole idea, could we put a scarecrow? Do scarecrows detect shelves? Yes. Could we then... Oh, I forgot that these guys have peculiar priorities when it comes. Although, alternatively, I could probably get away with doing... If they're going to rotate like that, I may be able to fudge it a bit and do something like that. Don't love that. May have to go on the upper side instead. Shelf is too big. Like that, and then we could do... that looks stupid, but he's hoping she says yes before you finish the question. Indeed. Indeed. Indian language movie. She Hindi? No clue. If you enjoy sailing games, check out Sailwind. There's no combat or building, but it's still fun if you enjoy sailing. Good to know. I'll add that to my list. That looks stupid, but I kind of love it. It's kind of dumb. And by kind of, I mean really dumb. It's really dumb. Let's be completely honest, but it's also funny. So... Also loving the Galleon. Thanks! I'm kind of tempted to leave our scarecrow friend there. Also because it's invincible, so it won't get destroyed. Yeah, because I think everything else is too small and any of the heads just cut off too flat. You know? They're too sharp for what I really want. I would love to use the rhino shark there, but I don't think there's a way to make the rhino shark without mods, and that's not what I want. So I think we go with that for now. With that, I feel like that's a pretty good lead on the exterior. I feel like we can call this the exterior. Leave the scarecrow. He can vibe there. That's a him problem now. Alternatively, what we can do. So if you look at this now, it looks really empty, but you can see that I want to add rigging because rigging really fills up the space and it makes it look a lot more interesting. So if we get a better view on the side profile, mostly for me, we can see that everything is interconnected. I'm covering myself right now. Haha. You can see that there's like rigging pretty much going between most available points. And we want to try and replicate that a little bit. We don't want to go too ham, but yeah, we're going to try and make that work. So let's see if we can't add some rigging to our sails. So that means we're going to need a lot of zip line, not zip ties. Switch to YouTube to say hi to friends and encourage people to join Allie's Discord. Oh, look at Vex. Look at Vex go. Thanks, Vex. I appreciate you. Okay, 1 second. I'm turning this back on. I need a better view for me. We go from the top all the way over to the top of the other one. You can post in other suggestions and all your game suggestions. That is true. That is true. All right. So ideally we want to go from like here-ish and here-ish. And sail collision is a bit weird, so if something looks like it won't collide, it probably will if you just close and rotate the sails. My friend is your subscriber, telling you before proposing to her. Today I'm very happy and also scared. If she refuses me, my heart will break. I wish you all of the best luck. I'm sure that things will go well. I am sure things will go exactly as you want them to. Let's see. Could I theoretically then, would that connect to one like right here? It might. That might actually work. It's so close. Sometimes it works if you go from the other side. No. If I close and rotate this, will it work? Because again, sails. What are you colliding with? What is the problem? It's the mast of the sail. Okay, we're not going to be able to get around that. That's not going anywhere. So we're not going to be able to get the one that leads from there to there unless we can fudge it and go up further out to the side, which I don't want to do necessarily. However, what we can do is we'll continue to put that one there. As these go over here, like so. It's a good thing. Alidove mods, not only in Raft, indeed. Indeed. I'm grateful for you. So then we kind of want to just haphazardly make them lead to various points. Again, this is something that if I just rotate the sail, it won't collide anymore because, see, sail collisions are weird. And then you can connect that over to there probably. We want to connect them in between, kind of by where the sails themselves actually go, is also a good idea. Like that. And we want some going from a little bit further down. We've got a couple that lead there, but we also want... So again, we want these to be kind of like haphazardly placed, where sometimes it'll connect like over here. So if we go from here-ish on the... Oop, that pillar's too long. I forgot to change the length on that one. That should just be a half-length pillar. Gosh darn it. Alright, we'll do it this way. Again, I have mods on right now, but again, this would just be something that you would change normally. So. Alright, apparently it's going to be finicky, so we'll just do it this way. That's fine. Like so. Again, that's totally fine. Everything works as expected. You could put another pillar through right here if sails weren't in the way, etc. That all works. And then we can do fun stuff, like be like, oh, this one goes here. And that kind of stuff. And you also take this and you drag it down to one right here. Or you also want to drag them at different angles so that they're not always going to the same width. Really helps. So even if we do these ones up here too, that'll still make it look more dense without like, you know, too much more effort. You see how that already makes it look more complete Like there's more going on. And if we take one from like right here, we should... That's fine. We're just going to override the collision because again, if I just close the sails and rotate them, it won't be a problem. But I'm lazy. I don't know why that's askew, but it's fine. Everything's fine. That works. I like that. And we can probably even get away with doing... I don't know if this will be enough elevation. We could probably get away with doing this one too. Like so. So this way, the more ropes we add, the better it'll look. Which I know sounds counterintuitive, but just trust me. Certain things look better with more ropes. And we can even probably get away with doing 2 at the bottom of something like this. Where we space them a little bit, and then you can go from like here to here. And here up to here again. On both sides. And we need yet more. Always more zip lines. Zip lines make excellent rigging. And then we do the same thing on this side. And you even need some to connect. We might have to remove these windmills temporarily. Because you need some of them to look like they connect back here. You take those from like here-ish. And you bring them down here. One of my favorite things to do is to space them a little bit along this wall. You could do something kind of like that. Where this will make it, again, artificially look more dense without too much more effort. And so you get those different lines that kind of appear together and make things look more complete. If you built this boat in the direction of the normal end, in normal mode, would it move in the direction of the pointy end? Depending on how you build it, yes, but you can always, as soon as you get the steering wheel, I'll demonstrate this as we get a little bit further. And I'll show you how to like rotate your raft and that kind of thing. So it's not that big of a concern. Started Raft with a friend. Both of us were clueless about building. It was basically a floating storage with 2 engines and some equipment. Watch some of your guides and now we have a decent raft. Nice! Ever game with your viewers, Allie? I really want to, but I have terrible internet. It may seem like it's okay right now, but I'm using like a bad bit rate and that kind of thing. Vex can attest that the very few times that I've managed to actually stream with her, my frame rate has tanked. And that kind of thing. So it's on my list of things that I really want to do, but I'm not currently able to do, at least not in a way that makes me happy. And it's not up to my standards. Like it takes me over 3 hours to upload an 8-minute YouTube video. So it's a bit rough. It's a bit rough sometimes. It's not for a lack of wanting, believe me. Best raft I've ever seen. Oh, the Galleon. The Galleon design that we are currently working on. It's gonna turn out well. Time to start a game with Allie fund. Oh, we'll get there in the future. As soon as I'm out of grad school and that kind of thing, it'll be easier. I mean, at least hopefully if I move to where I plan on getting my PhD, then I'll have access to better internet and that kind of thing too, which should help. For right now, where I'm getting my master's, you know, that's less of a concern for me. And we add ropes going back around here as well. And you can just see how adding that little bit of extra structure changes so much. More zip lines. Are the zip lines expensive? Yes. However, I would argue that it's more worthwhile to have tons of zip lines because you end up with just so much metal after a certain point, after you no longer need to fortify your raft. So, for me at least, I like it this way. And we can just kind of fudge these around. Have you considered moving out of the cornfield you apparently live in? I would love to. Believe me, I would love to. It is high on my list of priorities after I finish grad school, but for now, this is what we're doing. Yeah, because I feel like having things connected to different points also helps it look a bit more. Because again, if we turn this back on, you can see how there's like ropes going in all directions and it looks messy. That's intentional. That looks messy and it's intentional, so we're just gonna try and recreate that as best as we can with some of these. And getting like these to go, these should, because these should be at different elevations. Yeah, these should connect. And obviously we don't want everything to go back and forth between the same... There's a reason I'm trying to make this look a bit messy. Because we don't want everything to be at the same heights and that kind of thing. But it gets difficult when you're working on like this side versus the other side, and I think I could probably get away with doing something like this on this side. Yeah, yeah. And we connect these up over here. Anything, anything, any takers, that works. Again, if I rotate the sails, just to prove that this is not something that I'm cheating, that wouldn't be possible in vanilla, if you literally just like rotate these, then it allows you to place. So if you see me overriding the collision, it's just because I'm lazy and I don't want to go do that every time. So, PhD and P&W have the same number of letters, just saying. Indeed. Indeed they do. You are correct, Vex. And so like for these ones, if I wanted to like close these and connect those and then re-rotate the sails, nothing will. I thought about building a raft that has one layer that's a single foundation. Everything is built off top of that. Something about building a floating top sounds fun. It is kind of fun, not gonna lie. And paddles do still work then. You just can't use engines, which is a little annoying, but it is very much possible to beat the game like that. I've done it. It was a mess. I think that video was one that I made when I was still pretty darn new to YouTube, and it was something like beating Raft without a raft or some dumb title like that, you know? And we also want probably some zip lines up here. I know I'm going ham on the zip lines, but I feel like these are one of the most important details you can add to a boat, is the zip lines. Just because it fills it out so much more and makes it, it gives it like a purpose almost, you know? I don't think that these are going to be at different enough elevations to allow me to connect that. No. See, like that won't connect. Oh! Oh, yes it will! Yes it will! I'm okay with that. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, we got one side. We got one side. I'll take it. That's fine. Have you watched any of Let's Game It's Out videos? I have. I have indeed. I think they're pretty well done. Of course, whenever I post anything about the detail playing, people are always like, Let's Game It Out, discover that. And it's like, no, he didn't. But he just made the more popular video, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. It's just like, please recognize that just because a bigger YouTuber did it doesn't mean that they were the only one to have done it, you know? But alas, people are allowed to be fans of things, and that's okay. That's okay. It can just be a little annoying sometimes. We'll do that there. Actually, let's connect it directly down the middle. How you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Having a good time. But you guys see how much of a difference that makes with this. I just love the way he breaks games. For Raft content, I come here. Oh yeah, and like, again, there's completely different ways to play a number of games, and I have played enough Raft that I feel pretty confident in my abilities to do various things, you know? So, yeah, but you guys can see the difference that having that rigging makes. And if we look again at our source image, you can just see how much that adds. It makes it feel so much more, you know, chaotic, which gives it that less clean industrial vibe. So that's some of my favorite things. I regret fortifying my Raft foundation because Bruce don't want to play no more and I ain't got no shark meat. See, the way you do that is you jump into the water and you stab him repeatedly. That tends to work pretty well. If you learn the timing, it's really easy. Yeah, okay, so I like this structure. I like the structure, I like the rigging. I'm okay with the sails. Oh, I gotta re-rotate these ones. And again, I mostly am doing the sails to prove that, like, you don't actually, like, I'm not actually breaking the game in a way that the game isn't intended to work. Doing good. How's life in Serbia? I would not know. I would not know. A marine biologist suggesting shark slaughter. See, I don't actually advocate for killing sharks, but Jeremiah in particular is okay. Jeremiah in particular irritates me sometimes. I love nurse sharks. Nurse sharks are some of my favorite things. They must add more campaign to the game. The game still has a lot of potential. Unfortunately, they're not going to add more story content, but I am inclined to agree with you that I would love to see more. That doesn't mean we're going to get more, unfortunately. So, and I'm carrying that much weight. Not yet. We'll get there, boys. All right. Again, I'm content with this exterior. Again, if we pull up some of our reference images, I feel like that is pretty good. This is pretty good. We'll make this one smaller again. Put it back at the corner where it belongs. Again, where we can add more pillars and that kind of thing to add more paint detail. But for now, I think that's pretty good. For now, I'm content to, like, work on this. Ali for Supreme Leader, the position I was always meant to hold. Let's be completely honest. As we've established, I'm the only one who matters. So, as compared to our source material, I think this is pretty darn good. Where are you from? I'm from America. I'm American. The United States. I recognize that saying America is a bit misleading, considering it's, like, you know, 2 whole continents, but yee. All right. So then with the layout done, it's time to make it work. And that's one of the more fun bits. So for now, what we're going to do, we're going to cut a hole right here. We're going to make this our entryway up and down up the main mast. And this is our hole for our engines. So we've got 2 options where we can kind of work this. If I were 36 plus, I'd write for US president. Better than most of the presidents in my lifetime. Yeah, sadly, I'm not that old yet. We got a ways to wait before I can run for president. If we all rally together, can we maybe get a quest system added for replayability thoughts? I would love that. I would love that. It's something I've been a really big advocate for. But again, alas, my word does not hold. What's our foundation count at? 1 second, I got distracted. What's our foundation count at? We only need 1 engine. Nice. So we could theoretically plop it there. Alternatively, what you can do, although this is a bit finicky, is like, we could also do it like this, but then you have to wire it outside. I tend to like that more, but instead of having it run straight down the middle, I don't love that. Right in alley, also perfect. Yeah. Thanks, Bex. Alright, let's do that. Let's figure out where we want to put our engine. Obviously, we want it facing forward. That's like a big thing. We want our boat to travel forward. However, you can also, I would like to point out that one of the things that works in this particular kind of raft design is that the side is a lot longer. So if you're floating, if you want your boat to, like, look like a boat. Here, let's ignore the fact that I can't type. Right? If we put this boat into peaceful mode, right? And I grab my steering wheel. And I also tell the game that it can spawn trash now since I have that disabled. So let's just put our steering wheel there for right now. Sorry I keep leaving chat. Cooking onions for some soup later. We love soup. A bit too wet for my liking. Alright, so we're gonna let this float forward and spawn some trash. It should start spawning that. I might need to reload the world. Okay, yeah, we're gonna reload the world real fast. World. Perfect. Again, I'm unfortunately far too young to run for US president. The shame. What a good president I would be with my literal zero knowledge of politics. Alright, we're gonna let this run forward a little bit. I'm also just gonna randomly place an engine. Mods, stat modifier. We don't need no hunger or thirst, but we're going. This is literally just for proof of concept. This isn't just to actually do anything. Sometimes the steering wheel collision gets in the way. That's annoying. Biofuel. Give me a stack of that. Make sure it's pointing forwards. And then fly. So if we push ourselves forward, you can see that obviously our range of where the trash is spawning is like from here to here. Which is not ideal if you're trying to, you know, make things that are highly efficient. However, what you can do is instead of powering your engine forward like so to make it go fast, if you're just playing the game for, you know, if you just want to gather trash for a little bit, what you can do is you can rotate your raft sideways, right? And then turn off all, or close your sails. Like so. So we go like this. Ignore the fact that I have mods enabled to make this, and then you would just close your sails so that you would float naturally in the direction of the wind. And you should be able to close all of these with the ladders that we made. That's part of the reason for the ladders going all the way up. No knowledge of politics is reason number 1 to vote for you. Oh dear. So if we then turn off all these real fast, we're gonna make a whole lot of trash spawn, and I'm gonna clean it all up. So now you see that the wind is gonna point us that way. And so this time, now we're getting trash spawning along the long side of our raft. And that means we can make an entire row of collection nets along that side and still gather every bit of trash, as long as we're just floating sideways and not prioritizing powering forward. Does that make sense? E? The Sea of Thieves and Raft are my favorite games. Great. Nice. But too many expert kids in game, I found it stressful. That's totally valid. That's totally understandable. Oh yeah, the drifting raft. Excellent for getting stacks of anything you want. Yeah. So now you can see that I didn't build my raft perfectly centered because I was like trying to test what dimensions we wanted, but you can see that this drifting after rotating it means that we're no longer going to have issues. You can actually orient yourself against the wind, and then if I come in here and I turn my engine back on, then that will overpower this. So now I'm going to keep going forward. Success. And now we have like 4 different debris fields active. But yeah, this all works. This is all how the game functions, and it's all perfectly normal. It might be also nice to mention wide or narrow does not change the speed. Exactly. Exactly. So glad Sea of Thieves is adding a private server option. No more getting ganked. Indeed, I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for that. Yeah, so that's why when people complain about my boats being too narrow, it's like you can always just reorient your collection nets and go sideways. But for now, we're going to go back to creative mode. You can also now see all of those. We're going to clear that so that things go away. And we're going to turn off our engine. All right. So that was more just proof of concept. We only need 1 engine because we only have 62 foundations. So that's good. It's just a matter of figuring out how we want that engine to work. Because theoretically, I would love to put it so that it would be like the hole would be against this wall. However, without mods, this would all break. You can kind of fudge it a little bit, and this might work. This might look bad. It might look good. Because if you put this down here, right? If I were to put my engine there, what you can do that, again, does technically work is do this. And then you can put down your engine right along here, because that still counts it as being open. It's not as noticeable from the side. Again, I don't love this solution. It's not great. It's not perfect. But it is supported, and that way, you know, at least from the outside, you can also tell if your engines are running or not, which can be a benefit. And if you wanted to do it on the other side, you could do it there too. Something like this, I guess. Yeah, that's the same block. Where we want it to be inside, because we obviously don't want an engine sticking out of our pirate ship. That's not very piratey of us. So, collection nets don't count as foundations towards the engine cap. This is true. This is true. Collection nets do not count as foundations. So, like, if we were going to use the example we were just talking about, what you could do if you were really, if like gathering all of the trash was a priority for you, and for me, it's personally not. I don't really care that much. What you could do is like, so I'm pretty sure, well, you can't build directly on top of collection nets, but if you, one moment, I have to reinforce my raft real fast since I, again, didn't do this in a way that is conducive to testing physics. We're just going to do this really fast. It's going to look ugly, but I didn't bother using all of my triangle things, so I'm just going to run this down the side real fast, if it'll let me. Hello, game. Can we do it on the other side? Oh no, because it thinks we're snapping to the center, not to the main grid. Again, this is just so I can turn off building utilities without horribly breaking everything else that I made. Do a save, also a good idea. However, it will still delete things that aren't supported without the mod. So, I've made that mistake before. It was not fun. Just trust me. This is just a surefire way to make sure that everything works and lines up. It's not an engine, it's a water wheel that collects from the sea for some reason, right? Yeah, definitely. Definitely not a steam-powered engine or anything like that, you know. Alright, again, these are just purely to make sure my raft doesn't collapse in the middle of the night and leave me stranded, because that would be very unfortunate and I would be very upset. Everything else should be fully supported via natural mechanics in the game, so if we were to do that, right? I'm pretty sure what happens if we come in here and we turn off building utilities real fast is that if I were to destroy this right now, that it would be, like this wall would go bye-bye. Yeah, that wall goes bye-bye. However, if I take a collection net, I'm going to use the expensive ones because they look better. I like them more. We'll rotate them. Rotate it so the net is against the side. I'm pretty sure what you can do is if you are able to replace something, so if I had built like a foundation right here, and then I'm pretty sure if I come and destroy this, the wall will still be stagnant. Yeah, okay, that maintains the physics. So you could theoretically line, if, like, again, if collecting trash was really a priority for you, you could do that against this entire wall, per se. And then, like, ring it this way, if for when you're going forward. It's just, like, a thing. Have you played Sea of Thieves before? For, like, a grand total of 2 hours, because I have terrible internet. But not really, is the honest answer. Not really. So again, you could build a row of scaffolding foundations and then build like an entire row of collection nets like this. We'll do it just for the sake of saying that'll make people happy. Ignore the horrible mass crafting sound. That would be pretty sick. Hey Nick, how's it going? Are there any mods for NPCs? No, not really. That is something that would be really cool to see implemented, but no one, I think, has done it. Because it seems like it would be hard, and I don't know nearly enough about computers to tell you how hard that would be. After building right next to scaffolding, only then can you fortify the nets. That is true. However, like these ones don't need to be fortified, so that is one of the advantages. Obviously, that's not something you're going to worry about if you're playing this in survival and that kind of thing. Nick, welcome back for 21 months. That's insane. Thank you so much. Oh, it still destroyed them. Okay, apparently my physics preparation was not enough. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Building utilities is back on. You know what? We're just gonna bite the bullet real fast. We're gonna replace these with triangle floors so that we stop having to worry about it. We doing a boat or something? Yeah, we're attempting to recreate the Galleon specifically from Sea of Thieves. So if you see the boat in the upper right-hand corner, that's the boat that we're trying to build right now. That's so many months, it really is. Nick redeemed a fun fact? What fun fact? What genre of fun fact do you want, Nick? What specific kind of fun fact are you looking for? Okay, and then we just fill this in the same way you fill in normal floating floors. We're just not using the pillars, because ignore that step, but this means that we won't have to worry about physics anymore. Sea sponge? I have a lot of fun facts about sea sponges. So there's a specific family of sponges known as glass sponges, which are considered to be the longest living animals on the planet. They're in the family Porphyra, as are all sponges, and they're also considered to be some of the first multicellular organisms. So the first animals to have, you know, more than one cell in a single animal. And these guys live like kilometers of like depth under the surface. It's insane the amount of pressure and temperature that they deal with. And they also can live to be up to 10,000 years old, is some of the predictions. So they're pretty darn cool. Also, they're filter feeders. They have little structures in them called spicules that are basically made out of glass, which is why they're called glass sponges and that kind of thing. So I think that's cool. Personally, I think glass sponges are interesting. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm kind of curious, are there any mods that make the Raft story longer? No. Unfortunately. What happened? Physics happened. It's fine. We can recreate it. This part is easy. It's just a matter of bringing down these pillars all the way. That's fine. I can recreate this easily. You guys you'd be so surprised as to how often this kind of thing happens while I'm offline. So, I'm not at all pressed right now. This thing happens frequently. It's not a big problem. Let's see, that was our 2. Below that was our 3. And then below that was our 5. Physics are real and they can't hurt us. No, Vex. That goes against my central message. Physics are not real and they cannot hurt us. Again, you guys would be surprised how often this kind of thing happens. And then we do this out. Another half filler on the end. Same thing on this side. Nick with the 5 bits. Thank you so much, friend. It's very kind of you. For anyone curious, 1 kilometer under the water has pressure equal to 101 Earth atmospheres. Exactly. It's insane. It's legitimately insane what glass sponges survive. It's like 5, but smaller. Oh dear. Oh dear. And then we just do this, Grab some sails. And we kind of go out in the middle, like so, so that lines up. Again, I'm just choosing to ignore the collisions right now because I'm not going to bother rotating everything out a specific way. And then we can deal with this and with that. Likewise on this side. I need one more sail. See, now that we have the structure already figured out, doing this kind of fix is really simple. It's not nearly as bad as it looks like it is. Because we already figured out what dynamics we wanted, so like that one was completely untouched. And it looks like all of our rigging stayed mostly in place, so I don't really care. I mean, a few extra lines may be missing, but again, it's totally fine. Looking down on me. I'm vexed. No, I know the words, I promise. I wish Raft had a Steam workshop, but I'm too lazy to download the mods manually. That's valid. Still not as much pressure as my last job. Nick is the best at words. I'm sure Freddie and Dave just got him wrong. Oh no. I know it's because Nick has done my favorite song captions of all time. That is also true. Did you play Subnautica? I do. I have played Subnautica and I love it. What do you think? Which one is better for you and why? Raft or Subnautica? Personally, Subnautica. Mostly because I really love the kind of exploration and whatnot that Subnautica lends itself to. Versus like Raft tends to be very linear. However, like Raft space building is, again, excuse me, undeniably better than Subnautica's. I love Subnautica. Don't get me wrong. I adore Subnautica. But it just doesn't have the same full charm to it. Excuse me. My throat is so clogged today. But I love Subnautica. I also love the exploration. I love the variety of marine life. There's no ocean tilapia. So all of these things combined mean that I like Subnautica. As much as I love Raft, I would probably prefer. If you like to explore, No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is really high on my list of games to experiment with. So, believe me. I'm trying so hard to decorate a Subnautica restaurant and the decor is so lacking compared. That's what it comes down to. That exactly is what it comes down to for me. And we just made these all out of triangle floors so that I don't have to deal with physics anymore. So physics is officially no longer real. Yeah, okay, so these collection nets therefore mean that you can collect anything in any capacity as much as you want. We'll do this. And then we'll build ourselves a nice little hole. Like so. I'm gonna carry the pillars down just so it looks more supported. This is just so I have an idea of where the center is. Even though I built my thing off-center, we don't need to think about that. It's fine. Everything's fine. This rigging is missing. That set is gone, so is this set. That's fine. Again, that doesn't actually matter or anything. Okay, gamers, I gotta go back to work. I love you all. I love you too. Have a good day. Yeah, so that all works. Oh goodness, Nick. Okay, so you could do this, and this works because that way you can add a actually, could you, if I were to come in here and grab an advanced biofuel refiner? Not quite. Not quite, but I think that works, and then keep in mind we can always remove this. And then, how are you making the floors flying? I can explain that, just give me a hot second. Just give me a hot second and I can explain exactly how that happens. And then that can be connected afterwards. So that way you've got a biofuel refiner. We could probably even fit in a beehive or two right here. I don't think I could fit two, but I can definitely fit one, and we can do max honey production, so. Because literally if you just come in here, you grab 4 of these bad boys. You can do it like this. Like so. And that way this will always give you max honey from there, and it's pretty easy to do. Then you can just slap it in there. Add your biofuel right there. It comes out automatically into the end. Thanks, Nick. I don't mind shaking hands. Woo! Alright, so floating floors. Here. Let's build ourselves a little demonstration deck over here. Can I suggest a YouTube channel that have a current series going through Subnautica mods? I could go through Subnautica mods. Yeah, I mean, but if you have a suggestion of someone who does that, I'm okay with that. Alright. So ignore the fact that waves are a thing. Right? We're just gonna ignore the horrible noises that this game makes. So, if I want to make a floating floor, usually, excuse me, in Raft you need your wall to be connected to a raised surface. So in this case, it's usually either a pillar or, you know, a pillar or a wall or something like that. So if I want to build over here in the vanilla game, it won't let me. So if I were to turn off everyone's favorite thing, I obviously can't build there anymore. We're gonna turn this back on. So instead of prioritizing that, and like, you could also build with horizontal pillars. However, this wood cost adds up really fast if you want to continually do this with extra wood. So what you can instead do is if you take something cheap to build up to that height, like I personally prefer to use these windows because they only cost 1 plank to build and they always give you 1 plank back when you destroy them. So this is lossless. Then what you do is you come in here, you take a triangle floor, and then you build out. And that seems weird. And then you rotate another one and you build out. And you build like this, right? And then you fill in the gaps with the other direction triangle. And then you can destroy this. Destroy each one of these, because again, that each gives you back 1 plank. So you haven't lost any planks. And now you have a fully floating floor at your desired height that doesn't require any horizontal pillars or any support. Which is a really nice building technique because it allows you to make things float over wide surfaces without having tons of pillars, tons of walls, or using tons of wood on horizontal pillars. So that is how that works. And it is my preferred building method. And that can just be the demonstration platform. We'll leave that there. We'll leave that there. You placed a honey hive close to biofuel production where there are no flowers around it, so it will not work. So I didn't put flowers in here, but I put these 4 crop plots here, which will actually give it max honey production. Because basically all you need to do is if I grab some seeds, we'll just grab 20 of these and a canteen full of water. Let me do this. Then you just leave these flowers here, and that will always produce max honey out of that hive. Super convenient, super easy to do. It's just nice. It's just nice, and it works really well. And we can also probably get away with taking, let's do this if we wanted to try and automate a little bit of an animal area. You could do something like that. Right now you've left yourself a nice walkway. This seems like it would be ideal for... although what you could do, if you're gonna use these collection nets on the bottom, this might be a bit weird. However, I feel like this would work. My preferred storage system uses... The issue is I've already tried this and it didn't work. You might have done it wrong. It definitely works, and it's definitely still in the game. So I think something it might not have placed correctly. You may not have left the right amount of support or that kind of thing, but it definitely works still. Yeah, because that will allow you to collect as much of that as you want. I mean, you could even probably get away with putting... Let's test this. Actually, if I were to put a table right there, right? A table right there. Then we go back to game mode. It's full. Turn off my sails real fast. 1 moment. I wish there was a really easy way to close and open sails, but alas, there is not. So we let this go. tell that it can spam trash real fast. Okay, let's just see if that works. Because I want to know if I were to do this, right? And line up a ton of tables right here and cover up these collection nets, basically. Like so. I know it's going to look a bit weird because things will look as if they're colliding through here. That might actually line up super well. Yeah, so if we were to cover these up, give it a little bit, give it a second. Because basically we're turning this back into usable floor. Obviously it's not foundations. We can't place like the water purifier or something like that on top of here. But what we could do... Oh, that's actually perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that offset. Nice. Because if those all collect, we're just going to let it go for a little bit, right? Let it go. Collect a ton of stuff in these. I know it's going to look a bit weird popping through here. Ignore the nice sound that it makes. It makes a nice sound. Lovely sounds. The sheer amount of flotsam scared me from it. Oh yeah, I have it set to spawn at 100 times rate. So. Just to make stuff like this kind of testing easier, where you can see it fills up really fast. Okay, and then we can settings. Be like, haha, we're done with that actually. So now our nets are full. And yeah, you can still collect this easily without having... Nice. That's exactly what I wanted to see. That's perfect. That's perfect. And then we can put our trash can right here just for right now. Delete some stuff so we can clear out some inventory space. That's what I wanted to see. That's really good. That's satisfying flooring. It is. And even better... What that means is for everyone who complains that I don't put enough storage space in these, is that we can stack chests and whatnot directly on top of these. So one of my preferred storage systems, if you haven't seen it, utilizes the tables and these chests. Right? So we do this, and then we can literally stack chests on top of here. Like so. This is just an example. You would do this along as much space as you wanted. You could literally line this entire thing with this. Have you considered doing a video on what sound settings turn down what exactly? Like, I don't need to hear animals pooping out eggs, and definitely not beehives, but like see sounds. Is that a combination possible? I think so. I haven't done a video on that, but I could do that. I think I could probably figure that out. I don't know if I know the answer, in all honesty. Yeah, so you could theoretically then take this, and if you wanted to, you could even... The issue with this is that it pokes through the ceiling, but you could even grab this and then grab some of these bad boys and place these on top of here. Again, it's worth being aware that crops will poke through the ceiling, so you will have like little potato bits, but if they're under the stairs, who cares? Or you can plop like decorations, you know, like, I think this will fit. Nope, it doesn't fit. You know, like the book or something. You can stack this right here. And that kind of thing. Again, that might be too tall. Oh no, it's not too tall. Yeah, so you could line that with like books or something, and that would also work. One of my favorite mod/tweaks basically lets you put a name tag on a mob to silence it. And it's such a simple thing, and I love it so much. That sounds really nice. So basically what we've done here is we've taken a row of collection nets, so you could, again, continue to let your raft float this way and not power it forwards this way. Here, we're gonna go back into creative mode. So if you turn on your engine, you can float that forwards that way, but if you close your sails and let yourself float this way, you get literally all of this space. working as collection nets, and now we've turned it back into usable flooring at the same time. So we're double teaming it basically. And we can also use one of my other favorite glitches, where if you grab a carpet really fast, like so, and then you grab an electric water purifier, there it is. You can basically be like, collision isn't real. Because carpets are a thing. Or a row or more of chests, yeah. You could easily just make this entire wall storage now. How do you clean those out? So let's just plop down some chests right here, just so, like, on top of one of the obvious collision spots. That is one of the issues with that, though, is that you wouldn't be able to place it directly against it. So let's just say, oh no, we have chests here. This entire, like, row right here, you see where these don't collect? You don't actually have to click in the middle of this. Anywhere within this foundation counts as touching the net. So I can collect any of these along that. So it's not actually as wide as it looks. It just, like, covers up the physical hole. So you could make this into whatever you wanted it to be, realistically. And the chests are just small enough for this to work as well. Exactly. Exactly. So you could easily turn this into a full wall of storage, if that's something that you're inclined to do. Or, you know, we could divide this off. The next part about this particular design is obviously we've got a built-in bedroom, where, let's be honest, we're going to take our fancy bed here, and that's going to go right here. You know, fancy bed is going right in the middle. Research desk might go over here. We might do fireplace over here kind of thing. More storage, individual storage over here. Something like that. I think you could, I don't think you could, maybe. We're going to test this real fast. If I were to put a chest right here. I mean, ideally it would be closer to the front, something like that. And then we were to put that on top of it, as close as it would go. Could I put another chest on top of here? No, that doesn't. That's too much. Okay. Yeah, so you could ideally make this your desired height or something like that. Like if you did that and then suck it out. That looks goofy. It also shows you how forgiving the chest hitbox is. Like, look at that. Hey, how are you, Allie? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Having a good time. That shows you how forgiving the chest hitbox really is. Like, look at how much of that is inside the foundation. So, there are certain things like that to be aware of. Yep. Let's remove that. So we could turn this all into mini storage, or if you really wanted like more crops or something like that, you know, something of your own desire could easily go right here. Like, I think chests are probably the best use for it, realistically. You can get away with that too, hanging them on the wall. What happens if you get two steering wheels facing the opposite direction? I think they cancel each other out, but I'm honestly not sure. I've never done that. I'm honestly not sure. Yeah, okay, so again, obviously we've got a built-in bedroom over here. So what else do we need to make our raft functional? We need storage, we need engines, we've got plenty of sails. We got plenty of sails. We need animals, which will be this area. Probably what you would end up doing, for being completely honest, is putting a sprinkler. This isn't like the most elegant solution, or you could take this and move it right here, which is a much more elegant solution. Then you grab a water pipe, grab a sprinkler. Can you place the table and then the chest on top and then put the chest on the floor? I think so. I think so. It's more just the issue that if you place the chest on the floor, that's the one that's going to have the biggest set hitbox. So if I do this and then this, I can tell it exactly how high up it needs to be. So you see how that works, but that doesn't. So that gives me the exact height at which things will no longer work. And then from there I can say, oh, that won't work. You know? Does that make sense? So I'm more using the bottom one as a measuring system than as a true indicator. So again, we could fence this in right here. Cooking stuff, we do need a kitchen. We do need a kitchen. Let's just say that we're gonna plop this right here. Just overwrite that. Weirdly enough, you can like build this as another kind of fence. Like if I were to use the rope fence and then replace it, that works. But you can't just do it. That doesn't work. So, yeah, or we could do a more physical separation here where we could turn this into a wall. Something more like this, and then we make an archway here because I like archways. Archways are fun, kind of festive. Something like this, and then like that. Or we could then turn this into like a nice little kitchen area. And we could probably even get away with doing more of the table stuff then. Hello, I've seen all of your YouTube shorts, and they're very helpful. This is the first time I've seen you on Twitch. Well, welcome, friend. I'm glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. And now we can use our favorite little table feature that we just came up with to cover up these little holes. Like so. Maybe that one will have to stay open. Because I don't want to attach anything right here. And I don't think it'll let me place it against a table directly, so that's fine. We can just put a carpet over this set right here. No one needs to know, and that's still perfectly functional. You can actually collect items directly through the carpet too. There's nothing interfering with that. But using the tables makes it actually, like, you know, usable flooring at the same time. So, yeah, because we want it to be aligned with the corner. Corner's probably more important objectively. Welcome. Our Twitch streams are the coziest, indeed. We're here for a good time, not a stressful time. So, I like the idea of this being a little kitchen. Like a little kitchenette in here. I like that. I like that idea, and I think we can get away with making it pretty cozy and that kind of thing. So if we do, let's see, cooking pot, we do juicer. You know, realistically, these are just going to be the kinds of things you slap against a wall. And they do place on tables, which is really nice. I think the current schedule is roughly Monday, Friday, Saturday around noon EST, subject to holidays and academic chaos. Indeed, that is the current schedule. Subject to academic chaos is the big one. That is the big one for me. And then we could probably stick a grill, and Allie getting colds and needing to take care of themselves. See, that part is overrated. There isn't a great place for the grill, although you can stick it like right here. Don't love that. Not a big fan of that idea. Because the grill is a bit weird in the fact that it's got that big overhang on the right side. However, I do want to also... I don't want this to be fully utilitarian. You know, that's the other big thing. I'm working at noon those days. That's why I haven't seen you online. Indeed. Usually it's just what ends up working out best with my... I mean, we could angle it like this, if that's what you mean. I personally just like when there's that space there. Yeah, it's just what works best with my academic schedule, and it will change next semester since I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes next semester that I couldn't avoid. So I'll publish that as soon as I get more schedule details resourced or nailed out, that kind of thing. Which chest do you recommend to use for large resources, the medium chest or the large chest? I personally prefer the medium chest, both aesthetically and because you can actually fit more in the same amount of physical space. Even though like it has to be in individual storages, so you're not like putting as much in one particular storage block. But if I were to grab one of these bad boys, you can see that that takes up more space than 3 of these. So even though this one contains more like individual storage, if you look at the comparison here, so this is 4 by 5, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So literally we're fitting another 33%. into this like less than the same area by using medium storages. And again, that's a matter of personal preference. It doesn't really impact that much, especially if you're working with this amount of storage space. And much more expensive. Yeah, this requires 4 titanium. This is just wood and hinge, which you need more hinges for this anyways, and less wood. You just need plastic, and by the time you've unlocked this, trust me, you have ad nauseum amounts of plastic. So yeah, again, matter of personal preference, but for me, also I love when you get placement glitches like this, where it's like, this is the plane that you can put things on, right? And it's like, no, it is not, game. But sometimes it just does stuff like this. I'm like, oh, Raft. Oh, Raft. What am I going to do with you? And again, this is all fully functional. So it may look a bit weird, but if you're the kind of person who's like, I don't have enough storage, you could literally line this entire wall with storage if that's something that you felt really obligated to do. We can also take this. This should fit perfectly in this space right here. And it does. Just saying. Hold on, BRB. Can't paint the other boxes either. Also true. Also true. So that gives us smelter, that gives us engine, biofuel. I mean, if you wanted to, you could also probably get away with doing like medium grass plots back here. That's probably the best use of this space. They won't be automatically watered, but at the end of the day, I honestly don't care that much. If you get a canteen, automatically watering 5 plots is not the end of the world, you know? So let's see if I can't wiggle this one in here. We're just going to pretend that I placed those more accurately and that they're closer together. We're just going to pretend. Oh yeah, and so now you can see that this has max level honey production back here. So mission success. Trash can also goes in the kitchen. I would love to place that right in this corner, but that's fine. It'll go over here. We are kind of front loading this corner, but I wanted to make this like a little seating nook right here. I still need to finish this game. Watching you play makes me want to play again. There you go. Inspiration. Influencer tactics. So, we got kitchen ideas. I want to turn this into like a little breakfast nook. We might use like a little table. I still wish there was like a tall round table. Like one that was like this height, you know, but round would be perfect. Would love that. And yeah, you can fudge it a little bit if you just stack 2 of these on top of each other. But let's be honest, that's not what anyone wants. The use of magic carpets to place the recycler. Yes. We love the magic carpets that allow us to place the recycler. So that's another thing we can get away with because we use the tables here, is that we're no longer limited by having all of this be collection nets, and we can actually place our recycler or recyclers, depending on your preference, like right along here. That does actually work. This one is a bit more finicky because we have that demonstration there. So that's something to be aware of if you want to add that extra bit on the side, is that it does give you this disadvantage. Use of magic carpets. Oh, I see what you're saying. To place the trash can. I don't think it'll let me because it's technically not supported, but because it'll let me place here on that corner, but that is being blocked. And again, we don't have anything to hang the table off of properly, so because ideally we would just put a table right here, but the table wouldn't be fully supported if I were to put a wall here and then remove it. So, because like I would love to just plop another table right here. That'd be the best case scenario. Pillar's also slightly in the way. Pillar you could get rid of. This pillar doesn't actually matter. Once you place the thing, the wall supports it. So you could do it like that, or we just kind of wiggle that and then destroy this, and then trash can would go like right here. But even then, I'm not like necessarily worried about it. use the round carpet as a tabletop. That would work. However, I want to be able to put like plates on stuff on it, so that's the other disadvantage. We could also put it over here, so that way, you know, of course, it's not the first thing you want to see when you walk into the kitchen is the trash can, but we could go the built-in route too, where we take this and then we like do a little bit of this on either side. And then we take that, put that there. And then we're like, hey, look, it's a breakfast nook. And then we take some stools, right? Some stools, some high stools. Like, this isn't too high at all. And we also grab some detail planks. And we say, haha. This is a perfectly normal method for doing this kind of thing. Where we try and clip it onto there. Then it doesn't. This is why I hate detail planks. We're just going to use a pillar. Pillars are easier. Pillars don't hate me. There we go. That gives us a clean edge. So now we got a bar, that kind of thing, where we can go the built-in route, and then we just add some carpets on the floor. Because clutter is what makes the world go round. Where you do this, and then you just kind of go like bump, bump. And it's like, wow, aesthetic kitchen design. And you can obviously fill this with all of the stuff from Utopia and all the fun, like, decoration items and that kind of thing. Did I not put my game on back in creative? I thought I did. Oh, I didn't reload the thing. Meteos rug. Indeed. You can also, it looks more like a bubble rug without the collision of the collection nets, but you could also do it like that and then add like another one over here. It works best if you kind of make it uneven. Like that kind of thing where now it's a bubble rug. Yay! And that kind of thing where like we could leave this open here and that kind of thing. You understand the vibe. And then, of course, you can, again, add all of your decorations from Utopia and plants and that kind of fun stuff. So, Potato Man Fractal Rug, precisely. Alternatively, if you're like, I want to go ham on biofuel and honey is not a problem for you, you could also, you know, alternatively put tons and tons of these small crop plots along the wall, because then everything at like this height will still be automatically watered. So you could just do this along the entire back wall. Also, because collisions don't matter when you're on grass plots, so you can just place tons and tons of things there. So if you want lots of potatoes, that's a great way to farm lots of potatoes in a confined space. Yeah, so that way we've got tons of collection nets. We got a kitchen area, we got an animal area, we got smelter. Can make this entire thing storage. That's not automatically watered, but again, I don't really care. It's it's like decently easy to access too, which is pretty important to me. So we could also put more beehives down if honey was more important to you. Like you could easily put another beehive right here with more things, and that wouldn't look too out of place and that kind of stuff. Radio on the kitchen. Okay, we'll add a radio. We can put it up here. Nice. I'm turning that off. But yeah, like you could easily place the clutter stuff down there. What other functional bits are we missing? Obviously research table, but research table goes up here. I would personally put it up here, probably like in this corner. Make like this little office, put a fireplace over there kind of thing. Where's the fireplace? There's a fireplace. So we would do kind of like a this kind of thing. Could add a chair, add some storage under here, or whatever you prefer. It doesn't really matter, you know. Favorite cassette? Not dying. Favorite cassette is probably, I actually really like the funk one. I think it's the most fun to listen to and the most different from the majority of Raft's music. So I would say that that one is my favorite cassette. And of course, like, excuse me, so I bite my own lip. Let's just remove these real fast. Yeah, these don't need to be here. That's just simply for structure. You could always use this for like cabinets, something that will look a bit nicer, but looks less out of place kind of thing. And you can even put lighting behind there to make it look more natural. Or you could even grab 2 of these bad boys. Do something more like this. If you frame it with detailed planks, this tends to look pretty good. Or if you put carpet underneath these, it'll actually collide through the surface. Looks like dead frogs on your rug. Oh, with the flowers. Yeah, that's what I was warning about, where flowers will poke through. So it's something to be wary of if you want to put them that close to the ceiling. But again, you could easily just move these around or use white flowers on top, which lay flat in the seeds. So there's a number of, yeah, using white flowers would help. Precisely. Precisely. Yeah, so you could also do something like this where it looks like a little more built in. That kind of thing. Yeah, there are a lot of options on how to make this space work. But no, Allie had to let their inner goth hang out again through the roof. Indeed. Indeed. I'm a bad influence. We already knew that, Vex. That's not news to anyone. So yeah, and we're vibing. I think that is everything functional that we need. Let me look through. We've got cooking stuff, we got water purifier, we got crops. We got sprinkler. Anchor. Anchor's a big one. Good catch. Realistically, this is gonna be the best spot for an anchor right here. Because you can do the same thing where you did with these, where you just like replace it with say you would do Hicker afterwards. Anchor's a good catch. So if you were to do that, like you would ideally just, you know, do that. And tables are weird. You can wiggle them still in here because collision doesn't matter. And plus the magic carpet fixes everything, you know. Alternatively, if you really wanted to make sure it worked, you literally just rotate it this way and then everything's fine. Or you rotate it like this way. Right now it's not working because of the ceiling, because that's a different thing. You should make an office with a research table. Oh yeah. I mean, that's part of why it would go like in here in the bedroom, that kind of thing. I personally love having the bed be the center of attention, but you could easily rotate it so that the research table is the center of attention. So that like the research table goes here, and that you create this as like an office space, and then you have your bed off to the side here. Again, personally, I prefer it so that the bed is in the middle. The office part is over here, and that kind of thing. Yeah, and then, I mean, yeah, there's just the normal, like, stuff you just plop down. Realistically, engine controls would probably go, like, here-ish. Like that, where it's accessible, but not quite in the way. Antenna are something to worry about, so let's think about that real fast. 1, 2, 3. There's definitely a rotation here that works. It's just, you know, you can also plop it on top. If you literally put, actually could, I'm going to test this. We're going to see if this works, just because I'm curious. Let's do, oh, I already have one there. Then, if you do the same thing, you could make this work. Again, there are rotations in which this happens. You can see how it like lights up green and then it goes away because placement in this game is finicky. As long as they're within like a ½ meter of each other, that should work. And those should be far enough apart. I'm not confident in that. You could always plop it right there, right? And then we can come in here, grab our receiver. Obviously, this is, again, not stuff you deal with in Sea of Thieves. We do that. Let's grab our battery. too close to receiver. So that one's in a bad split, but literally if we just move it right here instead. Again, rotations, move the sails, like move the zip lines temporarily. It'll go back to being fine. It's just for right now. Yeah, that works. That's functional. As long as those are within half a meter of each other, that's fine. That way both sides are being used. This is still walkable. Obviously I'm flying right now, but as long as I'm not running into anything, you would still walk it. Yeah, so that all is functional. Then we could probably get away with adding back in our windmills. There we go. Or again, if you prefer battery power, there's nothing stopping you from using battery power. I would probably rotate them to be something like this in this scenario. For me personally, that probably makes the most sense, but the way the antenna cables back to the receiver cross upsets me as usual. Cable management people. Yeah, it's also annoying, but that's just the game, you know. There's only so much I can change, and that's not one of them. Although I love the no wires mod. The no wires mod is like one of my favorite things. Have you ever played Stardew Valley? Yes, I have. I love Stardew. I love Stardew. Clock and date? Oh yeah. I mean, those are all things that would go in the bedroom. Is like this kind of stuff with a calendar and, you know, hang the clock over by the fireplace kind of thing. Figure out a space in which it doesn't collide. You would do like something like that, you know, where it just kind of goes randomly in there. What other functionality? I'm not worried about clutter right now. Clutter is something that I usually just play around with a ton until I decide, like, hey, that looks really good from a decoration standpoint, you know? Otherwise, I just can't be bothered. And then, of course, all of this is clutter. Bathtub. Important for different reasons. You seem like the type of person that would play Stardew Valley anyway. I do love Stardew. I love it quite a lot. It's one of my favorite games. I have played it for, I think, 700 hours. That kind of stuff. I've played a lot of Stardew Valley. My home is so cozy. And the developer is really done with this game. Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Hope I'm not typing new one. No. You're welcome to type as much or as little as you want. Everyone is welcome here. I may not read everything, but that's partially because my reading comprehension is awful. So, part of it's a me problem. That's all that. We got engine controller, we got streamers. Honestly, if you just look at the top of the mess, obviously the flag also works as a streamer. So, how many hours have you played in Raft? Over 800. More than 800. Yeah, and then the rest of this is just decoration. Solid. So that is officially how you would build a galleon, I would say. And we've got, of course, our lovely little dude out there. No, they're working hard on the console part. That's true. They are working on porting the console. However, as if we're going to see more content or anything like that, the answer is no. Besides potentially small quality of life updates. Did you use mods to do the sales? I mean, technically, yes, because I didn't want to replace all of them, but all of this is stuff that can be done in vanilla. I just made it more convenient for the time being with mods. So, technically the answer is yes, I used mods to do this, but you don't need mods to do this. Mods used to design them, but the design is reproducible in vanilla. Exactly. Exactly. It just requires specific placement, order, and that kind of thing, which gets really finicky really easily, which is why I use mods to do it, but yeah, so this is the gist of our galleon. I'll probably go through and do like a ton of, you know, clutter items, specific decoration style kind of stuff, but that's the vast majority of what you would do to build a galleon. I've been searching for days now. What song are you using for your outro? I use the Steam Gardens theme from Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, that's cool, but DLC would be great, or at least add a new game plus so I can put my titanium stuff to good use. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm in full agreement with that. You need the big shark as a ship trophy. Oh, believe me, we tried. We tried. You missed that part. I was trying to figure out if we could rotate the rhino shark to hang right here, but it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening despite my best attempts. So I really wanted it. I think this is going to be my favorite part, is this little deck on the back. It seems like such a small detail, but having that little bit of extra dimension to it and that kind of thing, I feel like makes a world of difference from just... Because even if you extend this out to be a full block, it just looks wrong, you know? And that little bit of detail goes a long way, as do the sails. Yeah, so I think I'm content with calling this a successful build. Again, if I have the time, I'm going to turn this into a full build tutorial with exact steps and, you know, how to place the sails and that kind of stuff. So ideally, we'll get that done and I'll show you guys a full build tutorial. So that's something to look forward to in the semi-near future. And of course, we'll paint it and make it look all pretty, and I'll show you a full interior design and that kind of stuff. But I think that we have successfully recreated the Galleon from Sea of Thieves in Raft. So, have you ever played a game called Planet Crafter? Yes, I've got a video in process right now, working on my thoughts on the game and that kind of stuff. So, kind of like it 7 out of 10. You're welcome to your own opinion, friend. You're welcome to your own opinion. Yeah. And I think it's got enough room for customization and individual interpretation, which is always a big deal for me. So anyways, I think that's likely going to be everything for me. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you guys spend your time here and that I get to see you all. It's lovely for me. And I hope you enjoyed. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon. I will be live again tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be on YouTube or Twitch or both. We'll figure that out. Have you tried Sunken Land yet? Not yet. Not yet. It's on my list. So I'll be back tomorrow. If you don't see me on YouTube, it's because I'm over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Alidove. It's still me, I promise. And that's everything. I hope to see you all again very, very soon.